shall receive the usual expense allowances. With all of these functions and duties, may I ask Attorney Ignacio, ilang beses po kayo nagmi-meet? Since 2015, well, November 16, 2015 specifically, ilang beses na po hanggang ngayon?
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I lost count of the number of...
Meron bang regular meeting?
If there's a valid quorum, considering that the members are also either members or chairpersons of Bids and Awards Committee.
Would you meet at least once a month?
Yes, Your Honor.
At least once a month?
Yes, Your Honor.
And itong mga expense allowances, ano pong nare-receive ninyo? Ano po yung, you are paid only per meeting, tama po ba? Or meron pa ibang expense allowance?
As far as I know, we only are paid per meeting, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, let me go specifically to the legal issue which concerned, oh, by the way, I just want to clear this. Kasi, eto nga pala, yung legal issue which concerned the question of whether or not itong benefits should be granted to spouses of justices who had died prior to the implementation or effectivity of Republic Act 9946 but had served 15 years of service. May naging legal issue po doon. Naalala niyo ba yan, Attorney Ignacio?
Yes.
Maximize available resources, integration of the ICT projects which have been not identified in the EISP in the updated EISP work plan, setting the qualification standards of personnel that may be needed for the EISP implementation and review of existing policies, regulations, and procedures and standards that may be re-evaluated and revised in review of the EISP implementation plan. Number 3, review Court of Appeals, Court of Tax Appeals, and Sandigan Bayan ICT infrastructure and IT organizations in relation to the updated EISP work plan. Iterate on defining key non-ICT projects that will be affected by the re-implementation of the EISP. 5, and in coordination with MISO, develop the terms of reference of the following components in the updated EISP work plan. Letter A, design and construction of Judiciary Data Center disaster site proposed to be located in Angeles City of Justice, Hall of Justice. B, upgrade of existing Judiciary Data Center housed in the Supreme Court compound and possible consolidation of data center assets of the CTA, CA, and Sandigan Bayan. Development of trial court infrastructure, cabling and site preparation, computers and ICT equipment, and for the implementation of the EISP, and network security and nationwide connectivity of 419 court locations. Number 6, provide technical advice. Example, preparation of the technical components of the bid documents, determining technical specifications of hardware and ICT infrastructure projects to the Supreme Court Bids and Awards Committee during the procurement process for the projects listed. Number 7, provide quality assurance on the functional requirements, technical architecture, and non-functional requirements of the e-courts, which is being implemented with the support of the Supreme Court's development partner, American Bar Association Rule of Law Initiative. The consultants shall review e-courts in compliance with an approval of EISP re-implementation and its technical components. And the last, in coordination with the Supreme Court Mapping Group, review the MISO Reengineering Development Plan, MRDP, and update it according to the requirements of the updated EISP work plan.
Sure. Nag-zone out ho ako after the third or fourth na sinabi ninyo. Pero napakadami ho.
Yes, Your Honor.
Napakalaki, parang implementation.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, anong difference nito between the first and the second?
The first was more or less a review as to whether what is in place, what needs to be improved.
Okay.
And the second is, this is what we should do.
Ito na yung
And
dapat
this has to
gawin.
be done. Yes, Your Honor.
At magagawa yun in a 6-month period?
No, I suppose, Your Honor. I think baka mahihirapan po.
Meron ba sa terms of references gaano katagal dapat yan?
None.
May plano ba? May idea ba? Or ang whole point is tatapusin yung whole work plan na yan ng taong, ng consultant na to? Or
There is nothing here which indicates po, sandali lang po, Your Honor, I have to check. In the letter D po, in the second terms of reference, the consultant, it indicates here that the consultant shall perform the consultancy services for a period of 6 months.
6 months lang
It
siya?
was indicated here, Your Honor.
Pero yung scope of work at yung buong plano ay hindi talaga kakayanin ng 6 months? O kaya?
I'm not technically
You're
capable
not
to know that.
technically capable.
Yes, to determine,
Kasi talagang
Your Honor.
ang bigat ng trabaho na to, no? At malayo sa malayo sa ating mga abogado, I presume, unless IT expert tayo.
Yes, Your Honor.
Sige. Kung lang ako, sa qualifications lang ng taong gagawa niyan, may idea ba kayo?
None, Your Honor, because when I read the terms of reference, it was generic.
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 So generic yun.
Yes, Your Honor.
Generic.
Yes, Your
So,
Honor.
yung ganong qualifications, basta IT expert kaya yan.
There were four po. There were four qualification standards that were indicated here.
Okay.
So ang nakalagay po is must have an advanced. The number one must have an advanced degree in business management or any ICT related degree. So it presupposes
Okay.
marami naman sa field siguro ito.
Oo.
Must have a certified customer relation management system, CRM specialist and manager. Must be
Okay.
certified, sorry po. Must be a certified customer relationship management system specialist and manager. Number 3, must have a 10 years experience.
Ilan years?
10 years
10 years.
experience po in developing, managing, implementing, or consulting on enterprise and management information system, customer relationship management system, and related ICT projects for the government or private sector, experience as Chief Information Officer of a business or government entity is necessary, and must have had extensive participation in formulating policy and e-governance framework in the country, whether in an official or advisory capacity.
Okay. Kasama ho ba sa trabaho ninyo bilang yung sa procurement head, tinapag-aralan nyo ba yung nasa how do I say this? Kasama ba sa trabaho nyo na tignan ano yung market values ng somebody qualified dyan o hindi?
No, Your Honor.
Sino pwedeng makapag-alam niyan?
The MISO, Your Honor,
So
in
it's
as
the
much as
MISO talaga.
they are the one technically capable to do it.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may request lang ho na maybe we should invite the current MISO at least para masagot tayo. Baka kasi may bearing yung market rates at saka yung requirements ng trabaho.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Kasi kamangha-mangha din naman na mataas ang bayad eh. 250,000 per month. Pero malayo ba yon sa market rates o hindi? Hindi natin alam. Is this the normal or is this, nakamura ba talaga Supreme Court dito o napamahal? Yun yung issue na hindi natin nakikita eh.
Yes, Your Honor.
Tama ba?
Opo.
At wala sa competence nyo yan. Wala sa...
It's beyond po our competence to know.
Okay. Next, nung pinoprocure nyo to, ang mind nyo na is an individual consultant or pwedeng isang entity na consulting?
Based on the qualification that was stated here po, I assume that tao po siya, Your Honor.
So it had to be an individual.
An individual, yes, Your Honor.
Na ang value niya ay kaya niya on his own to set up this whole system and get it implemented and work with hanggang sa CA, hanggang sa RTCs, kaya niyang i-set up yung system na to.
Yes, Your Honor.
So malaki-laki talaga yung trabaho.
Yes po, based on the scope of work, Your Honor.
Okay. And parang imposibleng magawa niya in one. Ang point ko is, 6 months lang talaga iniisip nyo from the start na 6 months lang yan o talagang malaki yung possibility i-renew yan?
I would not know, Your Honor, in as much as the terms of reference was simply given to the Procurement and Planning Committee po.
Okay. Etong nanalong to, may kwan ba to? I presume may qualified siya. May idea ba kayo? Bakit siya? Yung qualifications niya?
Personally, I do not know her even with regard to her qualifications, Your Honor.
Anybody? Attorney Raul?
Sorry, Your Honor, I'm in a position to reply to that, Your
Okay,
Honor.
sige. Okay. Sige. Kung na lang natin. Ang position nyo, nung pinag-aralan nyo sa back, nung refer sa nyo, under 53.7, at pinoint out na talaga ni Deputy Speaker, talagang dapat negotiated. O okay na legal at okay ang negotiated procurement. Yung first and yung second.
Your Honor, based on the documents that were submitted to us, Your Honor, and the scope of work and the qualifications for the consultant that they were looking for, yes, Your Honor, we found that the negotiated procurement under 53.7 can be allowed, Your Honor.
Can be allowed.
Yes, with respect to the requirement of the procuring entities, which are the Office of the Chief Justice and the Management Information Systems Office.
And dahil sa law, ang sabi ng law, 6 months ang kontrata. 6 months ang kontrata, kaya nandun sa terms of references.
Yes, Your Honor.
Pero yung scope of work talaga ay, sabay, wala sa inyo yan eh. Pero pwede talagang lumagpas ng 6 months yan. In fact, pwedeng umabot ng taon talaga yung ganyang trabaho. Tama mo ba?
Again, Your Honor, I am not competent to testify on that.
Kailangan talaga natin ng IT expert para magsabi. Pero at layman ako, parang imposibleng magawa in 6 months yan. Parang hindi rin magagawa in years. Yung mga abogado na nagpa-practice and even yung mga nagsiset up ng management information system, hindi rin natin nagagawa ng ganong kabilis yun. Tama. Sige. Iwanan ko na lang muna yung point na yan.
May I just interject? If
Of course, ma'am.
If the
Of course, ma'am.
On the same point,
on the same point,
please.
Mr. Chair, may I just direct my question to either si Ma'am Cunanan, Attorney Cunanan, or Attorney Villanueva, or Attorney Ignacio? Allowed naman yung 6 months, hindi ba? Na hanggang 6 months lang, under 53.7. Technical po ito.
Yes,
Hindi
Your
naman
Honor.
kini-question na negotiated procurement yung ginawa.
Yes, Your Honor.
Kahit na historically, in previous procurements of ICT consultants, that was through public bidding. But nevertheless, under the APP, ginawang siguro yung mode of procurement, public bidding, gumawa naman yung BAC yung tama. Sinunod naman nila.
And Your Honor,
Nag-issue ng memorandum. Lay lang natin yung premise kasi medyo nawawaylay tayo from the real issue here. Ginawa naman na yung BAC in the 2 contracts na isagawa. 2013, 2014, sinunod naman yung dapat gawin under alternative mode of procurement, under negotiated procurement.
Yes, Your Honor.
The issue here is, thereafter, kahit since 53.7 states that the contract cannot be more than 6 months, however, it is renewable at the option of the head of the procuring entity. So it is of no moment whether or not matapos niya within 6 months. Whether or not yung scope mag-e-extend ng 2 years, 100 years, That is of no moment. Kahit 100 years po. But the point here is, nung nai-renew na, hindi na alam ng BAC chair, hindi na alam ng BAC for consultancy services.
Yes, that's based on the facts that we presented, Your Honor.
6 times this contract, referring to the second contract, ha? Ito na yung implementation, iba na yung scope. And I will not ask you to read anymore the scope for the second contract. But nung hindi natapos, we will give it na hindi matapos. Kailangan i-renew. 53.7 allows for the renewal of the contract. Kaya nga lang, na-i-renew ito 6 times without the knowledge of BAC. And I asked whether or not itong renewal nung contract yung entered into in 2014 under negotiated procurement, we're not questioning whether it should be negotiated or not. Hindi yan ang question. But whether or not yung renewal of that contract should have been properly informed dun sa BAC upang ang BAC under 54, Section 54, Terms and Conditions for the use of alternative methods, at sinasabi nga 54.3, in all instances of alternative modes of procurement, the BAC through the Secretariat shall post for information purposes the NOA referred to by Attorney Ignacio, the NOA in the PhilJEP's website, the website of the procuring entity concerned if available, and at any conspicuous place reserved. Kasi nga, kahit renewal yan, tinatawag nga yung renewal, pero may contract pa rin. Hindi naman yan verbal na sinasabi, o renewed ka na. May pipirma pa rin, siguro, because this amounts another 1.5 million. Kaya, under 54.5, kinailangan ng performance and warranty securities as prescribed under sections 39 and 62 of this IRR, 2009, hindi 2016, of this IRR shall be submitted for contracts acquired through the alternative methods of procurement. So let it be stated for the record, Mr. Chair, this representation is not questioning the mode of procurement, even though historically public bidding had been resorted to. Yet, upon recommendation of the Chief Justice or the head of the procuring entity, 53.7 was resorted to, which was negotiated procurement. Hindi natin i-question yun.
Mr.
Pero
Chair.
yung 6 na renewals po, na hindi naman, wala nang kasali yung BAC, yun pong kino-question natin. Lalong-lalo na po, and may I bring up another point of information, Mr. Chair, 54.1. Kasi yung 6 po na renewed contracts, 1.5, 9 million, tama po ba, Attorney Villanueva?
Yeah, based on computation for the 3rd to 8th contract of services, it amounts to 9 million, Your Honor.
And then we add that to the original contract, which was another 1.5, that would be 10.5, tama po ba?
It would seem, Your Honor.
Itong 54.1 po, still, under Section 54, Terms and Conditions for the use of alternative methods, splitting of government contracts is not allowed. Splitting of government contracts means the division or breaking up of GOP contracts into smaller quantities and amounts, or dividing contract implementation into artificial phases or subcontracts for the purpose of evading or circumventing the requirements of law and this IRR, especially the necessity of public bidding and the requirements for the alternative methods of procurement. And this alternative method states, in alternative methods, it is very clear, in all instances of alternative methods of procurement.
Thank you for that. The committee notes that point of the Deputy Speaker, which is well taken. And
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
Please continue.
I thank the Deputy Speaker for that, and I agree with her almost completely, Mr. Chair. As I keep on reiterating, I think this is the subject
Hindi
of
pa
the
puli,
inquiry.
almost lang. Ano ba yung doubt na yun? Yung...
Ayos na yun. Kaming dalawa na lang po
Okay
yan,
na.
Mr. Chair.
It's not about the hair.
It's not about the hair. If I may continue, Mr. Chair, or the Chair has an interjection likewise.
Please continue.
Thank you very much for that. Maybe I should shift to another topic, Justice Fernando, if I may, ma'am.
It's take advantage of
Yes, ma'am. Para lang
the
humakpan
presence
yung
of...
oras.
Una rin muna kung mag-shift ka to another topic.
May interjection daw si Kong
By all
Dong.
means. By all means.
Sir, kasi po, Mr. Chair, this is
IT.
applicable to 91. Can I continue, sir?
Go ahead,
Sir, Mr.
please.
Chairman, thank you. So, Mr. Chair, the resource persons, yung bang shortlisting of consultants done through competitive bidding po to? Alam niyo po yun? Opo.
Yes, Your Honor. Usually that's done through competitive bidding, Your Honor.
Bakit po naging direct negotiated po yung pag-negotiate natin sa consultants?
If we're talking about these IT consultants, Your
Yeah,
Honors, it's
IT.
because Section 53.7 was applicable, Your Honor, based on the documents that were submitted to the back, Your Honor.
So nasagot na po yun. Pero sa Republic Act 9184 po, alam po natin, meron tayong grounds why we are going to the next step, to the direct negotiating. So, meron po kayong mga documents na sa direct negotiating contract. Sino po pumirma sa end user at saka yung kontrata nyo?
Based on the documents, Your Honors, the contract of services, at least for the first and second, contracts that we were furnished, Your Honor, these were signed by Ms. Makasait and the Supreme Court, Your Honor, represented by Attorney Eden Candelaria.
So, if I will read to you, Attorney, Mr. Chair, negotiated procurement of consultancy contract is authorized under Section 53 of the revised IRR of RR 9184. So, in case scientific, scholarly, artistic work, exclusive technology, and media services. In the case of the negotiated consultancy contract with Makasayat, there is no proof that Makasayat negotiated contract, and I was procured under any of these conditions. CJ Sereno is that procuring entity. Di ba, Attorney?
She is the head of the procuring entity, and the procuring entities for this particular procurement are the Management Information Service Systems Office and the Office of the Chief
Yeah,
Justice.
CJ Sereno is that the procuring entity is the Supreme Court.
Yes, Your Honor.
And, Your Honor, kayo po ang gumawa ng desisyon na to. Asset privatization versus Senator Tatad. Nung binenta po sa asset privatization, nagdemanda po itong isa, Senator Tatad. Kayo po ang gumawa ng desisyon. Binenta niya yung mga materyales, sabi niya hindi dapat ibenta yan ng diretso. Kailangan idaan nyo sa public bidding. Yun ang sabi ng Supreme Court. Nare-record nyo ba yun sa recollection nyo na may decision ganyan yung Supreme Court?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I do not remember that case po.
Nasabi ko po,
Can you go to the point? Ano yung point ng decision so that we can...
yung decision ang sabi niya, huwag kang mag-negotiate, huwag kang mag-direct procurement. Kailangan i-auction mo yan, kailangan i-public bidding mo yan. Yun ang sabi ng Supreme Court. Kaya parang contradict doon sa ginawa po sa IT ng Supreme Court. Kaya ko po tinanong yun.
Anyway, hindi natin alam yung circumstances of that particular case, and that may be a case law which may not be applicable
Mr.
here.
Chair,
So, mahirap i-second guess kung ano yun unless you will lay the predicate lay down the predicate of that particular case that will approximate the same factual milieu of itong procurement na ito. Kanya-kanya may iba-iba yun.
Mr. Chair, in the light of the point of the gentleman from Pampanga, may I reiterate my point kanina na maybe we should invite as a resource person the current head of the MIS?
Naimbita na, no? Naimbita na. Di ba si Ocampo yun? Sino ba yung miso?
Attorney Carlos Garay is the officer in charge.
Carlos Garay, hindi. Si Ocampo, ano si Ocampo?
Attorney Carlos Garay is the OIC of the MISO. Attorney Ocampo is with the Office of the Chief Justice.
Okay, let an invitation be sent to Attorney Garay also to clarify this particular point.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If the Deputy Speaker is questioning regarding the endless contract, endless renewal,
tapos na. Actually, terminate na November.
Hindi.
After the case was filed, itong impeachment complaint was filed.
So, terminate na. Pero ibig sabihin, naka 4 years ban lang, 12 million yon. Ibig sabihin, may duration yun. The first contract is 6 months. After 6 months po, ni-renew. After 6 months, ni-renew. Deputy Speaker, ganyan ba?
Yung una, 6 months, natapos na yon. Yung pangalawang contract, yun ang una, in 2014. Yun na ang ini-renew, 6 times.
Ang question ko po dito, dumaan ho ba sa back? Hindi dumaan?
That was already asked and answered.
Hindi ho ba? Para makuha ko lang.
Yes po. Hindi po dumaan. As I mentioned earlier, yung renewal of the second contract which was processed by the BAC were not already referred to the committee and we were not informed about it already.
Sino po nag-renew?
I really don't know, Your Honor, unfortunately, because we do not have the records for that. But under the law, any renewal will have to be upon the option of exercise of the option of the head of the procuring entity.
So anyway, hindi dumaan sa back.
Hindi po yung renewal.
So, meaning to say, they violated the Republic Act 9184, which I'm saying.
I cannot comment on that, Your Honor, because like I said, we do not have
so, Mr. Chairman,
basis for any comment.
Mr. Chairman, can we put on record that they did not follow the Republic Act 9184 and I agree to our Deputy Speaker na hindi dumaan sa back at hindi po dapat ang Supreme Court Justice ang mag-renew nun. Dapat dadaan po yan sa back.
We take note of the manifestation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I already,
Kit, is that on the same...
While we're still on the same topic, Mr. Chair, if the Justice Veloso will allow me, just 2 more points.
Sige po, please
it's still my
wind
turn
up.
anyway, sir. Thank you po. Thank you po. Thank you po.
Just on a point of information, all of the contracts were signed by Eden Candelaria, witnessed by Michael Ocampo, representing the Supreme Court, and on the part of the consultant by Helen Makasayet, and likewise, ito pala, si Ruby Esteban Garcia, nandiyan ba siya? Ha? Wala rin.
Wala po siya.
If I may?
Anyway, witness lang ito, no? Pero alam nyo, nai-installment kami dito eh. Nahihirapan kami. Every time na kulang ng mga parties natin dito, and we're stalled, and I had to express my lament over the way these things are going, na parang pinipiecemeal kami dito sa impeachment proceeding. Anyway, kayo po nakakaalam niyan, you're part of the administrative, you're part of the, isama nyo na po lahat, pati yung mga dokumento nyo rito kung sino nakakaintindi nitong mga issues that we are tackling, para po hindi na tayo pabalik-balik. So anyway, on the part of the Supreme Court, ang Ang signatories are Deputy Clerk of Court and Chief Admin Officer Eden Candelaria, di ba? For all yung 7 contracts.
8.
Or 8 contracts. And then these are all witnessed by Court Attorney Michael Ocampo. Is that correct?
And Ruby Garcia.
And Ruby Garcia. Okay. Yung proponent, si Oliveros, ano?
Hindi naman siya.
O yung Chief of Staff, at saka yung si Garay, hindi pumipirma rito?
Hindi.
Were there any documents signed by the two?
No, none.
Wala, hindi sila pumipirma. Madunong. Sige, so anyway, they had been invited to these hearings also. So, let me announce to them, I'm sure they're watching, or kung hindi man sila na mag-aral na sila, dali na nila yung lahat ng dokumento nila, because we will ask of them many questions. Kanya I hope they will not give us the petty excuse na nakalimutan ko yung dokumento, nakalimutan ko na yung sasagot ko, dahil as early as now we're giving them a fair warning to study this, because this is a brewing issue. Kala ko wala lang ito, but it is evolving to something which is also directly affecting the decisions of the Chief Justice herself, no? And showing some kind of a pattern here, no? So, pag-aralan na nila ito dahil we will, they will be asked many questions. Okay, so...
May I now proceed, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair, if I may...
Tatapusin mo na si...
Ito lang, itong ICT lang. Kasi I will
on
be...
ICT din po.
Kaya nga...
Sige po, justice first. Of course.
Kasi I'll be only up to 3:30.
Sige na.
Okay na.
Justice
Sige
muna.
na daw.
Salamat.
Dali mo na. Meron tayong mga dumating, si Congresswoman Baby Arenas. We just like to acknowledge their presence. Rodel Batocabe, and of course, Congressman Edsel Lagman. No? So, gandang hapon po.
Inacknowledge na ako. Can I ask questions?
Nirecognize lang po.
Okay. May I proceed, Mr. Chair? Okay. This is addressed to all the personnel of Supreme Court who may have something to do with the hiring of Ms. Makasait. Okay. The Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, let me read, provides in Section 3, Paragraph G, Section 3 says, in addition to acts or omissions of public officers already penalized by existing law, the following shall constitute corrupt practices of any public officer and are hereby declared to be unlawful. Letter G, entering on behalf of the government into any contract or transaction manifestly and grossly disadvantageous to the same, whether or not the public officer profited or will profit thereby. So here we have a 10.5 million contract or transaction. Question, is it grossly disadvantageous? That is what the committee is finding out. Also, Section 3E, it is considered a corrupt practice, quote, causing any undue injury to any party, including the government, or giving any private party any unwarranted benefits, advantage, or preference in discharge of its official, administrative, or judicial functions through manifest partiality, evident bad faith, or gross inexcusable negligence. This provision shall apply to officers and employees of offices or government corporations charged with the grant of licenses or licenses or permits or other concessions. My point is this. We all know that there are three kinds of principles here. Article 17 of the revised penal code says crimes or omissions committed under the revised penal code would cover three principles: principle by direct participation, principle by inducement, principle by indispensable cooperation. And then we have Article 10, which says the revised penal code shall apply suppletorily to special laws. The procurement law provides in Section 65 penalties for the violations of the procurement law. Let me now proceed. You have, first is to Deputy Court Administrator Villanueva. You said that the first contracts, October 1, 2013, for 6 months, and another, the second contract, May 23, 2014, were covered by contracts, and these contracts were entered into through negotiated.
Your Honor, these first two procurements, which were processed by the BAC, Your Honor, were covered after the memorandum coming from the BAC that these are covered and can be subject to negotiated procurement. The next thing that we received, Your Honors, were the two contracts for the same, Your Honor.
Okay. In paragraph 7.1.3 of the verified complaint, Complainant Gadon says here, then Chief Attorney of the Supreme Court, now Assistant Ombudsman, Attorney Edna F.E. Dino, raised the matter about the hiring by Respondent Sereno of an ICT consultant, since it would put on hold this consultancy services already bidded out but not yet awarded. He was referring by way of footnote to the JCMS, Judiciary Case Management Center, etc.
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you familiar with this?
The little that I know about that, Your Honor, is that that is a very specific kind of program, no, automation program pertaining to the reports that are required from our courts. But when you talk about the Enterprise Information Systems Plan, Your Honor, that is the comprehensive automation systems projects, no, covering the entire judiciary, Your Honor. So yes, it's not only limited to some courts.
But this is a part of it.
Not necessarily, Your Honor. I am not familiar. I do not want to pretend to be an expert about the EISP, Your Honor. But that is separate. That is, and that if at all, it's only a component, Your Honor, of the bigger plan.
That's precisely my point.
Yes, Your Honor.
It is a component of the bigger EISP.
It may be, Your Honor, yes.
Okay. Now, also, the complaint says, then Judge Geraldine Faith A. Ekong, now Sandigan Bayan Justice, also suggested to the body to recommend to Respondent Sereno to hold in abeyance the hiring of an ICT consultant. These recommendations were unheeded by Respondent Sereno. Is this correct?
I am not familiar with that one, Your Honor, so I beg your pardon, I cannot reply to.
Well, anyway, point of information, Mr. Chair, if you read the verified answer of Respondent Sereno, she did not dispute 7.1.3. Okay. Sa lahat pa naman ang ayaw ko yung mga IT. Kaya makikita mo, napakagaling ng cellphone ko. Until now, ito pa rin. Walang magnanakaw nga eh. Who can answer this? What is the scope of EISP? Sino ito? Procurement? Planning? Wala?
Your Honor, I would suppose that the best person who can answer that
MISO.
question is the MISO and perhaps the OCJ, Your Honor.
Okay. Justice Fernando, Court of Appeals, meron ba tayong counterpart dito?
None that I know, Your Honor. But we're consulting only the Supreme Court as far as our computerization project is concerned.
Yeah, but when I was with the Court of Appeals, ang alam ko in relation to itong mga ICT, kaya tayo naging mabilis sa case disposition is because of computerized.
Yes, Your Honor, we have our CA commis.
So meron tayo mas maganda, mas magaling kaysa Supreme Court. But did we spend 250,000 per month? Kasama ka sa budget committee natin kapag head
We did not spend any amount for a consultant on computerization, Your Honor.
Okay. Back to Deputy Court Administrator Villanueva.
Before that, may we just acknowledge the presence of Vice Chair Strike Revilla. Good afternoon.
Okay. You were the head of BAC. It's our first contract.
Yes, Your Honor.
And it was for 100,000 per month.
Yes, Your Honor, based on the documents submitted.
For
to
6
us.
months.
Yes, Your Honor, for 6 months.
And then you had a second contract, May 23, 2014. Also, it passed through BAC.
Yes, Your Honor.
250,000 versus 100,000.
Yes, Your Honor.
Tumubo ng 150%. From 100,000, naging 250,000. If I will judge the transaction
Yes, Your Honor.
via Section 3G, talagang grossly disadvantageous yun. Kaya lang, sabi naman ni Chief Justice Sereno sa kanyang verified answer, wala akong pakialam dyan, Supreme Court yan. So it would seem na we are unfairly, it would seem, baka naman baligtarin na naman sa media to, it would seem that we are unfairly trying or hearing this case against Sereno when kayo palang nasa Supreme Court ang lahat ng may kasalanan dito. Let me start with Procurement Head Cunanan. Bakit from 100,000 naging 250,000 sa pangalawang contract?
Your Honor, I simply endorse to the Bids and Awards Committee the terms of reference which was prepared by the MISO and the Office of the Chief Justice, Your Honor. So legally, the Procurement Planning Committee does not have any discretion with regard to what is included in the terms of reference, Your Honor. So
But
I cannot question.
you can, if you want to, in order that you will not be included in this problem, you could have alerted back by saying, sandali, 100,000 lang itong first contract natin. Ngayon, magbabayad tayo ng 250,000, which according to complainant ka doon, sobra-sobra pa sa sahod mo, Chief Justice. Mas mataas pa kisa sahod ng Presidente. You were free at that time to alert the back about the grossly disadvantageous contract being entered into.
Again, Your Honor, I'm sorry, but
Hindi ka lang, you refused.
not actually refuse, Your Honor. It's just that we give deference po to what was prepared and what was referred to the Procurement Planning Committee.
In deference to whom?
The MISO and the Office of the Chief Justice.
Ang mahal ng indifference na yan 250,000. And in the words of Deputy Court Administrator Villanueva, yung 6 subsequent contracts, 9 million yun Ganon kamahal yung indifference mo. But anyway, let me proceed to another point. Deputy Court Villanueva.
Yes, Your Honor.
As backhead, hindi mo nakita yung 100,000 per month sa first contract. all of a sudden, it will jump to 250,000 sa second 6 months contract?
Your Honor, when matters like this are being referred to us, the things that we look into are one, the availability of the funds, and second, with respect to the mode of procurement that will be resorted to, Your Honor. We do not have any hand, we do not have any participation insofar as determining the propriety, no, or the correctness of the amounts, no, that are required. So long as we are presented with the authority, because that's provided for under the laws and the rules, Your Honors, that there should be a budget for any procurement, Your Honors. If there are none, then definitely the BAC can refuse such request, Your Honor.
And when you say availability of funds, saan ito?
Together with the endorsements that were being that were sent to us, Your Honors, were certifications, Your Honors. For the first procurement, a certification of the availability of funds taken from the regular budget regarding the amount of 600,000 pesos for the engagement of a consultant to review and update the EISP. The second certification or certificate of availability of funds pertain to the availability of 1.5 million pesos taken from the regular budget of the Supreme Court as well for the engagement of a consultant to implement, Your Honor, the EISP work plan.
Last week, both Court Administrator Midas Marquez and Deputy Court last week, I was in Tacloban. Dinalaw ko ang Bulwagan. Executive Judge Sereno. Yung ceiling ng opisina niya, muntik nang bumagsak. And this is the same condition that tayo, Cortad Marquez. This is what we saw when we visited the office of Executive Judge Sereno after Yolanda. Imagine 10.5 million for a consultant versus ang daming kailangan nila doon eh. Hindi man lang kayo nag-isip na in relation to grossly disadvantageous undue injury, yung provisions ng Anti-Corrupt Practices Act. Hindi mo man lang inilagay, Cortad, na sana mapunta ito doon sa opisina ng mga judges ninyo. Deputy Cortad Villanueva.
Your Honor, specifically with respect to Tacloban, the Tacloban Hall of Justice, what I know about it, Your Honor, is this. When it was hit by Typhoon Yolanda, Your Honor, there was supposed to be a rehabilitation of the entire area, and there was somebody in charge of it in the executive branch of government. So everything involving the repair and rehabilitation of our courts were actually turned over to that particular head of the rehabilitation of the area. However, eventually that head decided eventually not to proceed with everything that was given to him. So all of this repair rehabilitation went back to the Hall of Justice, to the Supreme Court, Your Honor. So what we did right now
effective
is...
when? Let me cut you there.
I am not sure, Your Honor, about the date, but the status right now is we have already provided the scope of work for that Hall of Justice, Your Honor, and the budget was already provided, Your Honor.
As of 2014, may obligasyon na ba kayo na ipaayos yun?
Like I said, Your Honor, because it was supposed to be handled by another agency, Your Honor, so we were out of it during that time, Your Honor. But when it was returned to us, then that was the time that we had to again...
Kailan nga na-return sa inyo?
I really apologize, Your Honor, because I do not remember. But at least the status right now is that we have already a work plan, a scope of work for the repair rehabilitation of the Tacloban Hall of Justice.
The plans...
Bibid out na lang po, Your Honor.
Cortad Marquez, tayo magkasama noon nung tinignan natin yung ceiling na babagsak na. Kailan na ibalik? Tama ba yung sinabi ni Deputy Cortad Villanueva?
Yes, Your Honor, because during the rehabilitation of Tacloban, there was a government agency in charge of the rehabilitation of the entire of all the government facilities, no, in Tacloban. So we could not act on it right away, no, until very recently, when it was referred back to the Supreme Court.
Very recently.
Well, kasi ang alam ko yung Office of the Halls of Justice is already working on it, no? Yung it's part of the work plan for anong year for it?
Your Honor, if I may, we've already allotted funds for the rehabilitation of the Leyte Halls of Justice. It's fully funded. Only that it's a complete rehabilitation, and it's in the pipeline already. I think it's included in the APP 2017. However, there were a lot of infra projects, and in the 2018, we re-included it, and we're just awaiting for the approval of the APP. Once it's approved, then the procurement will be
Let me
initiated.
go direct to what really would concern your personnel in the field. May mga computers na ba lahat ang mga salas natin?
Your Honor, medyo we're veering away from the issue. The issue is
Kaya nga
against the Chief
bumabalik ako
Justice.
doon for comparison, Mr. Chair. To drive home the point na grossly disadvantageous ito, I have to point out na yung 10.5 million na yan ay dapat ginastos para sa mga computer, mga requirements natin sa mga sala. Meron na ba lahat? Wala ba tayong problema doon?
Your Honor, I'm not part of the BAC GS. I think DCA Baya, who used to be the chair of the BAC Goods and Services, would be in a better position to answer your query, Your Honor.
Kasi ang point dito, ang complaint is Waldas ang Chief Justice. Waldas sa sasakyan, okay? Imagine, 5.2 million isang sasakyan. Waldas tayo dito sa consultant niya. In fact, I would ask, pwedeng hindi nyo nasagutin yung kaninang tanong ko. Prior to October 1, 2013, wala kayong consultant na na-hire para mag-asikaso sa EISP.
Sinong nakakaalam niyan? Do we have consultants hired prior to 2013, prior to Makasayat?
Miss Candelaria. Eden Candelaria.
I don't recall any.
You don't recall any. So talagang Waldas. Anyway, sinabi ni Chairman Umali dito na natapos ito November 2017 ang serbisyo ni Ms. Makasait. Ms. Candelaria, ano ang nawala sa Supreme Court nung wala na tayong Ms. Makasait?
The projects which started still continued because it's already in the implementation stage. Some are already in the implementation stage.
Pakilakas-lakas lang, masyadong garbled eh.
The projects that were started is already being implemented.
They are already
There
implemented.
are already projects.
Lahat.
Not all.
Oh. Percentage-wise. Percentage-wise. Ilan ang na-implement, ilan ang hindi. Para makita naman natin kung talagang grossly disadvantageous.
The list of IT equipment that was already procured, the regional data center, the judiciary infrastructure upgrade is on the pipeline. The lawyer information system, legal resource management system, it's in the bidding stage. The judiciary email system, installation of the e-field just system, a hearing management system, digitization of court records, and the systems integration services, they're all in the process of procurement.
Sagutin mo lang percentage-wise. 10%, 20%.
I do not know how to compute the percentage.
Okay, before Ms. Makasait, the Supreme Court was functioning well. Before Ms. Makasait.
Yes.
Kaya mahirap ko ngayon i-compare in relation to Section 3G itong charge ni Gadon, except by the fact that kung walang problema before Makasait, kinuha niya si Makasait para maayos ang apparently non-existing problem. Gumastos ang gobyerno ng 10.5 million. Of course, you can say there are a lot of accomplishments. Kaya nga, tinatanong kita, percentage-wise, for all you know, 1% lang ito. Wala ka namang masabi. But, let me go to another point. It's enough na sinabi nyo na before Makasait, wala tayong ICT consultant.
Wala.
Meaning wala tayong problema. Supreme Court was functioning well, except nasabi ni Justice Fernando, comparing Supreme Court to Court of Appeals, mas mabilis ang takbo in the disposition of cases ng Court of Appeals because of their CASIM. Now, anyway,
Ano yun? Kamis.
first contract, second contract, nagdaan ito sa back.
Opo.
From the 3rd up to the 8th, sabi ni Deputy Court Ad Villanueva, hindi na nagdaan. Ako ay abogado. Hindi ko talaga maintindihan bakit yung first two contracts idinaan sa back. Pagkatapos yung 3rd to the 8th, hindi dinadaan.
Your Honor, I cannot answer that because I have no participation in the procurement of that consultant.
Okay.
Sandali mo na. Eden Candelaria, ikaw ang pumirme. Paano wala kang participation?
I was only directed to sign for and in behalf of the court.
That is good. Sino ang nag-direct?
The Office of the Chief Justice.
When you say Office of the Chief Justice, it is not the janitor there.
No.
Sino?
Direct to the point.
No,
The Chief Justice?
The Chief Justice to Attorney Ocampo.
Okay. That would be all, Mr. Chair.
Yun lang pala eh. Okay.
Yun.
Haba ng pasakali. We go back now. Let me just acknowledge Deputy Speaker Garin, no? Sharon, parang hindi, wala sa akin. So anyway, Kit, you now have the floor again.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I sort of agree with Justice Veloso na parang from my uninformed opinion, parang ang taas nga ng consultancy contracts. Nagkwekwentuhan kami ni Honorable Batucabe dito, parang ang taas. So nagtatanong-tanong kami. Pero at the end of the day, ang point is, hindi kami experts eh. Hindi namin alam what is the par for in the field, ano talaga yung cost ng somebody like that. Baka naman talagang ganito kalaki yung scope of work at ganito kahalaga yung trabaho, kailangan talaga ng ganong kamahal na consultant. Di ko alam. That's why nga inuulit ko lang po, siguro dapat nakausap natin dito is yung expert sa field, yung procuring entity. Yun yung first point. Yung second point ko po, para lang pumunta ho doon. Nung renew yung contracts, yung from the 3rd to the 8th contract, nagbago ba in terms of reference? Anybody can answer. Nagbago ba yung presyo? 250 pa rin ba hiningi niya the whole time o binago?
250 pa rin, Your Honor.
Yung kailangan niyang gawin, yun pa rin? O may iniba?
I would not know, Your Honor, kasi it was simply based already with the second TOR.
It was based on the second TOR.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your
Okay,
Honor.
sige. Speaking of kwan, yung sinasabi ho ni Justice kasi yung value ng information na yung high-tech consultant, yung high-tech information. Swinerte ako ngayon, Deputy Speaker, dahil yung aking magaling na consultant sa likod ay nakahugot sa internet ng data. Okay. Hindi si Congressman Lagman yan. Okay. Okay. Ang sabi ko kasi ni COA, GPPB ang dapat nating tignan. So tinignan nila yung as a reference yung GPPB website. And may opinion sila. NPM 111-2004 requesting entity Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas on ang issue concerned queries on RA 9184 and its IRR-A. The first question, irrelevant, pero the second question is very relevant. Whether in renewal of contract for consulting services of individual consultants whose contracts are on a 6-month basis, it is sufficient for the end user unit to submit the said renewal of contract to the head of the procuring entity for approval, or it is necessary that another bidding process be undertaken by the Bids and Awards Committee for such procurement of consulting services. Ang sagot nila in 2 paragraphs. The first one is in relation to yung bidded contracts. Ito ang sabi nila. Basa. Okay. In view of the gago ka kasi. In view of the nawala. In view of the aforecited provision, Section 53 IRRA, we believe that in the contract of consulting services that has to be renewed as procured through competitive bidding, the BAC should conduct another bidding process for the procurement of such consulting services, considering that as a general rule, the procuring entities shall adopt public bidding as to the general mode of procurement, whereas alternative methods of procurement shall be resorted to only in highly exceptional cases provided under RA 9184 and its IRR-A. Second paragraph, which refers to yung negotiated contracts. On the other hand, for consultancy contracts of individual consultants whose services are previously hired on the basis of negotiated procurement under Section 53 of the IRR of RA 9184, the contract may be renewed upon the expiration of its terms. In such cases, we are of the opinion that it is sufficient for the end user unit to submit the renewal of contract of the individual consultant to the head of the procuring entity for approval. Ito ho yung sinasabi ng BPPB. Pero as inuulit po ng resource persons natin, ito yung subject ng court case na dapat Supreme Court ang nag-uusap. Pero it's just a point of information para lang po sa ating lahat. And Mr. Chair, ito po ay nakuha dahil sa aking consultant sa likod who resorted to IT methods na invaluable ang resulta para sa information po natin. So hindi po natin alam yung effect or yung impact. Yun lang po, Mr. Chair, on this matter.
Salamat. Anyway, similar to my comment kanina dun sa when there was mention of a case, let us make sure that when we cite cases, the issues fall squarely. Kasi
yes, Mr. Chair,
there may be a lot of cases that will not squarely address this issue, and I don't know if that is applicable here. So
point taken, Mr. Chair.
On all fours, no. So,
may I proceed to another matter?
Kala ko that's all ka na.
On the ICT, Mr. Chair.
Okay. O ICT pa rin ito, ICT.
Just one question. I am glad that the chair pointed out the contracts that were entered into on the ICT consultancy services. And we have here from the Supreme Court quite a number of contracts on consultants. Meron nga kay Father Ranhilio Aquino, dated May 8 for a period of 1 year. This is May 8, 2015, for a period of 1 year, entered into by the Supreme Court, represented by Attorney Enriqueta Vidal, and Father Ranhilio Calangan Aquino as consultant for legal education. Ito po yung period of the engagement. The consultant shall perform the consulting services for a period of 1 year from the signing of this contract. Just as an aside, did this pass through the BAC? Attorney, kasi you're the chairman of the BAC for consultancy services. Dumaan po ba ito sa inyo?
Not that particular procurement, Your Honor.
So
I don't remember that passing through the back, Your Honor.
So this was again by negotiated procurement?
I think if it's PILJA, Your Honor, that will pass through the back of the Philippine Judicial Academy, Your Honor, not the back under the Supreme Court.
PILJA? This is the Supreme Court of the Republic of the Philippines.
But I think when you refer to Father Aquino, his connection with the Supreme Court or with the Court, Your Honor, is with the PILJA particularly, Your Honor.
But this is to provide technical and policy advice to the Office of the Chief Justice regarding the legal education system and its proposed restructuring and implementation.
Not despite, well, perhaps my answer is still the same. It did not pass through us, Your Honor.
Of note here is that the period of engagement is for 1 year, which, if this were to be acquired under the negotiated procurement method, ay hanggang 6 months lang sana ito. But my question here is, thank you, Mr. Chair, for pointing out that we do have some copies of the contracts that were entered into as regards Ms. Helen Makasait. And I refer to the renewed contracts. Pag ini-renew po, ibig sabihin yung scope, parehong-pareho. Kaya nga lang hindi natapos. This was the point of my esteemed colleague, Congressman Belmonte, Kit Belmonte, na the scope entailed a longer period than 6 months. Ibig sabihin, yung gagawin niya, parehong-pareho. Ibig sabihin, pag renewal, anong nakalagay sa original contract, yun din ang expected niya. Kaya lang, hindi nga lang natapos kasi sa original contract. At i-continue yun under scope and period of engagement. Tama po ba? Is that your understanding of a renewal?
Your Honor, with respect to the renewed contracts, Your Honor, like I said, since this did not pass through the back, I have really no personal knowledge about the contents.
But what is your definition? Nasa 53.7 po
yes,
yan
po. Yes po.
Bakit nag-allow yung framers of Republic Act 9184, specifically those that came up with the IRR of 2009? Bakit po may allowance for renewal?
Yes. I apologize, Your Honor, but if I will just look into that particular provision, actually does not provide specifically any condition other than to say that if a contract will be renewed under a negotiated procurement mode, Your Honor, it should be for at least 6 months, and that the limitation would be that it should not, the renewal will not exceed the term of the head of the procuring entity.
Are you saying that though this may not, the scope may not be contained in the original term of reference, at ini-renew ito, kasi hindi nga nakalagay doon sa 53.7, di pwede siyang gumawa outside of what was contemplated in the terms of reference that were submitted to the BAC for this second contract or even for the first?
Again, I apologize, Your Honor, because based on that fact that we are not familiar with what happened with respect to the 3rd to the 8th
No, I am
procurement.
asking for your appreciation of 53.7. Yung renewal po at the option of the head of procuring entity, ibig niyo po bang sabihin na kung may inisubmit sa inyo na terms of reference at yun ang scope
Yes.
for which the original contract was based, are you saying now na yung renewal ng contract may cover other scope or may cover other areas
Yes, Your Honor.
na hindi...
Your Honor, if I recall the answer to this earlier, the renewal cannot go beyond what was originally contracted. So that if there is any change in the situation or condition, then that would require a different contract. So it must be identical, meaning yung scope of work must be the same scope of work in the renewed contract. I think that is very clear already in the answer, in the previous answer of one of the resource persons.
Okay. I submit to that, Your Honor. Although, as a lawyer, that it
No,
can
you
go either...
answer as chairman of BAC for consultancy services, please.
With you,
How you would appreciate your responsibilities as chair of the Bids and
Yes,
Awards Committee for consultancy services, more particularly and more importantly because this did not follow the usual mode of procurement.
Yes, Your Honor. Answering it as you premise, Your Honor, with due respect as a lawyer and as chairman of the BAC, Your Honor, my point is, if you read the law, it does not provide any qualification as to whether or not a renewal should be based on the same terms and conditions of the contract that is being renewed, because there is no specific provision regarding that one, Your Honor. So it can go either way.
May I ask Attorney Ignacio, as a lawyer, and by your appreciation of the rules on procurement, specifically negotiated alternative modes of procurement and negotiated procurement in relation to all other rules under IRR, because we cannot take this out of context.
Your Honor, please, again, I will qualify as a BAC member, not as applied to this case, because the legal issue is still pending with the court. Renewal is different. Renewal connotes new scope of service, new deliverable, new ABC, new everything that is needed to initiate a procurement is needed for a renewal, as opposed to an extension, because an extension of a contract is covered by Annex F, which states extension of contract is allowed for consultancy services, but it shall not involve any additional cost. So the difference lies in that if what is extended is within the original contract, then Annex F, as regards implementing guidelines for consultancy services, applies, whereas for renewal, which connotes just like a novated contract, new consideration, new subject matter, etc., then it entails an entirely new procurement process, and it has to undergo the requirements of all the provisions that is provided for in the alternative modes of provisions as provided for under Rule 16 of the IRR of RA 9184, Your Honor.
And under existing rules, does an extension necessitate a contract?
Your Honor, an extension, again, it's just an extended lifetime of a contract. And pursuant to Annex F, it is allowable, but there's an express prohibition that there shouldn't be any additional cost. So it's not in the concept of innovation. Usually the extension pertains to time implementation. It doesn't involve any additional scope of work. That's why the extension is allowed, but at no cost, Your Honor.
And so if it states that there is a continuing need for the services of the consultant to provide technical advice and assistance, would that be an extension or a renewal if there is a continuing need?
Your Honor, again, with due respect, if it refers to this legal issue that's pending before the court, is it in relation to the present procurement or in general, Your Honor?
Well, at any rate, we have established that an extension is merely an extension of the term of a contract. And a renewal would necessitate another contract, under which, if there is a renewal of a contract, of an existing contract, this would be subject to Section 54, which would necessitate but posting the adequate or appropriate notices, which was not followed in this case. Bit of record, Mr. Chair, we do have copies of the contract of services dated June 20, 2016, dated July 27, 2017, dated July 23, 2015, which I presume were renewals for 6 months. And that these renewals contained different scopes of work, however justified under the recitals number 4, which states that there is a continuing need for the service of this technical consultant to provide advice and assistance. And therefore, there would seem to be a confusion between a continuing or an extension of a scope of work which could not be completed within 6 months and new contracts practically under renewal of contracts which in fact contained different scopes of work as evidenced by contracts submitted herein. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for that. Can we give Congressman Batocabe his time? This is the first time that he will interpolate. Kong Rodel.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. May mga kunting katanungan lang po ako, Mr. Chair, para maliwanagan po ang excuse me, ating mga kababayan. Ito ang kaso po dito, ay yung sobra o labis na mga pagbayad sa IT contractor. Kanina pinag-usapan po namin ni Congressman Belmonte. Ang tanong ko po dito sa procurement, ito bang nawala? Sino pa pwede magtanong dito yung sa procurement? Kayo pwede, kung sino sa inyo pwede, siya lang. Anyway, dito na muna ako kay DCA Villanueva. Nung nagrekomenda po itong procurement department, binigay sa inyo terms of reference at kung sino ang kukunin. Tama po ba?
Yung terms of reference po binigay po sa amin. Pero yung kung sino kukunin, hindi po. Nilagay lang po doon kung ano ang kwalifikasyon at kung anong gagawin ng consultant na kailangan po ng procuring entity.
Okay. Yung meron pong tinatawag na agency estimate na po binigay sa inyo, kung magkano ang magiging kontrata.
The budget was contained in a certificate of availability of funds, no, for both the first and the second procurements that were processed by the BAC, okay, Your Honor.
So, magkano po ba yung budget, let's say, per month? Para magkano po?
Yes po. Doon sa una pong kontrata, doon sa una pong procurement, yung kontrata po is 600,000 pesos for 6 months or 100,000 pesos per month.
100,000 per month?
Yes po. Yung pangalawa pong kontrata, for another period of 6 months, ang budget po ay 1.5 million or 200 for 6 months or 250,000 pesos per month.
Itong sa unang kontrata, naibigay po to 100,000 pesos doon sa consultant.
I cannot reply with definiteness, Your Honor, because that is the function of our accounting. But I would suppose that these were paid, Your Honor.
No, let me just be clear about this. Ito po, ma'am, we're talking, isa lang pong consultant to, no? Isa lang po.
Yes, Your Honor.
Sino nga po to?
Si Helen Makasait,
okay,
Your Honor.
Si Helen Makasait. Sa unang kontrata, paano po ina-award ng back? Sinasabi po ninyo na, okay, ito na si Helen Makasait ang magiging IT consultant natin.
Hindi po. Ang nangyari po dyan ay inalam po namin muna dahil pinarating po sa back kung ang procurement po na ito ay dadaan po sa competitive bidding or the what we call the negotiated procurement, an alternative mode of procurement. So eventually, the back decided that it is allowed under 53.7 a negotiated procurement. So ang nangyari po, nagpadala po kami ng memorandum sa Chief Justice po as head of the procuring entity and recommended that this can undergo the negotiated procurement at noon ang inaprubahan niya po, the procuring entities, the Office of the Chief Justice and the Management Information Systems Office negotiated, no, as would appear, no, with the consultant that fit the qualifications in that based on the TOR.
Okay. Ang gustong sabihin, wala po kayong kinalaman ho sa negotiation dito?
Wala po, Your Honor.
Ang sinabi lang po ninyo, okay, negotiated na, i-award natin. Ganun ba yan?
Yes, Your Honor. Yan po nangyari sa unang procurement, pati po sa pangalawang procurement.
Wala kayong sinasabi kung kanino?
Wala po. Although, actually po, binanggit lang po namin dun sa aming memorandum na kasi meron po kami mga ibang consultants dati na nag-submit ng mga qualifications nila with respect to another procurement of ours for an IT consultant. So we just submitted it to them.
So in other words, may mga iba pang mga pangalan na submit kayo?
Galing lang po sa files po namin yon,
okay.
Your Honor.
Ngayon, hindi na rin nyo trabaho kung tingnan ninyo kung magkano ba talaga ang binabayad sa mga consultant na mga ganyan?
Based on our reading of the rules, implementing rules and regulations, Your Honor, that is not part of the mandate given to the back, Your Honor. Ang
gustong sabihin, kung anong sabihin sa inyo, itong presyo, yun lang kayo. Hindi
actually, we base our action on the availability of funds as to how it was determined, the budget that was needed. That was not part of the mandate given to the back under the rules or under the law, Your Honor.
Okay. Ngayon, ma'am, bumalik na ho kayo, Attorney Cunanan.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Bigla kayong umalis po. Anyway, ang tanong ko lang po, kasi ito po ang siguro tinatanong ng ating mga kababayan, kung bakit ang IT consultant ng Korte Suprema ay kumukuha ng 250,000 pesos per month. Ang sinasabi ng iba, napakataas po yan at mas mataas pa daw sa sweldo ng isang maestrado ng Korte Suprema. Ito po ba, ang tanong ko, may pag-aaral po ba kayo para makita ninyo na ito, ang presyong to ay ganun din po sa merkado?
Hindi niya masasagot yan.
Your Honor, I'm sorry but I cannot answer that because it's not within the mandate of the Procurement Planning Committee. So, meron po tayong end user which is the MISO and the Office of the Chief Justice. So, they are in a better position probably later on to answer your question.
So, do we have any, so we don't have the representative from the...
Wala po, but there's already a standing invitation.
So, ang nangyayari po dito, yung MIS ang nag-recommenda sa inyo?
Office of the Chief Justice, Your Honor.
Office of the Chief Justice. Pati na rin po ba yung presyo?
Yes, Your Honor.
So,
but can I explain po?
Sige po.
There's the reason simply why it came from the Office of the Chief Justice and it was referred to the Procurement Planning Committee simply because one of the members who happened to be a vice chair is Attorney Michael Ocampo po, who is from the Office of the Chief Justice. So he is also the secretary of the Committee on Computerization and Library. So that is the reason why.
So itong gustong sabihin ng Committee on Computerization and Library, yan po ang nagrekomenda sa inyo?
No po. No.
Paano po? What's the right term? Ano po yung ginawa niya?
Okay, ganito po. So, in one of our meetings, dala-dala po ni Attorney Ocampo ng CCL for us.
Ano po?
Yung TOR po for the hiring of a consultant. So, on that basis, we had to determine whether may pondo pa for this o wala. So, I read and went over it. So, I had to request I had to request information from the Fiscal and Management and Budget Office whether there are funds for the purpose. So, kung meron pong pondo that's the time that I will have to recommend to the Chief Justice for the approval of the hiring of a consultant. So when it was approved by the Office of the Chief Justice po, I referred it immediately to the Bids and Awards Committee for appropriate action, which is headed by D.C. Raul po.
So, ang gustong sabihin, wala po kayong kinalaman sa paggawa po ng terms of reference?
Wala po, Your Honor.
Wala rin po kayong pakinalaman tungkol doon sa kung magkano ang presyo ng isang consultant?
Wala
rin
po,
po. At wala rin po kayong alam kung ano na po ang market rate ng mga ganyang consultant?
Wala po, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
Congressman, may I just interject?
Yeah.
I am holding a copy of a report, no? Kasi as pointed out earlier, this matter is sub judice because there is an administrative matter number 17-08-05-SC, and this is a report submitted by the Office of the Chief Attorney to the Anbank, I suppose, to the Anbank. And just because all of the resource persons we now have were only involved in the processing, but there was an investigation conducted, and this is covered by a report, and this has been submitted, as I said. And if I may just quote the pertinent portions of this, and I will just focus on the summary of observations, which will be very enlightening for all of us, so that we can dispense with the line of questioning that tends to establish whether there was illegality or whatever, or violation of procedural requirements. So if I may quote, in sum, the following are the observations of this office, meaning the Office of the Chief Attorney of the Supreme Court, on the contracts of services of Ms. Helen P. Makasayet. 1. The procedural requirements of RA 9184 and its revised implementing rules and regulations were not faithfully observed in procuring the services of Ms. Helen P. Makasayet as a highly technical individual consultant under the alternative mode of negotiated procurement. 2. The provisions of the consultancy fees in all of the 8 contracts of services of Ms. Helen Makasayet violate Section 61, 61.1 and Annex F of RA 9184 and its revised implementing rules on fixed price consultancy contracts, and Sections 85 and 86 of the State Audit Code of the Philippines, PD number 1445, Sections 46, 47, 48, Chapter 8, Subtitle B, Title 1, Book 5, and Section 40, Chapter 5, and Section 58, Chapter 7 of Book 6 of the Administrative Code of 1987, proscribing the expenditure of public funds without the required appropriation, therefore, as well as the pertinent government accounting and auditing rules and regulations. Number 3, the consultancy fees for the first to 7 contracts of services of Ms. Helen P. Makasayet exceed the ceiling of compensation provided under DBM Circular Letter number 2000-11 dated June 1, 2000. 4. There is no basis to determine the reasonableness of the consultancy fees for the 8 contract of services for lack of data on the prevailing July 2017 market rates for IT individual consultants with the same qualifications and expertise as that of Ms. Makasayet. Recommendation, wherefore this office respectfully recommends the court to 1. Declare as void in a court resolution the 8 contracts of services of Ms. Helen Makasayet for having been procured not in accordance with RA 9184 and its revised implementing rules and regulations and violative of other statutory laws and pertinent auditing rules that pertain to the certificate of availability of funds. 2. Direct the Office of the Clerk of Court to furnish Ms. Helen P. Makasait a copy of the resolution informing her that all her contracts of services are void and therefore payments for her services rendered shall be based on the principle of quantum meruit. 3. Direct the Fiscal Management and Budget Office, FMBO, Office of the Administrative Services, OAS, and the Management Information System Office, MISO, to immediately determine the amount corresponding to the reasonable values of the services rendered by Ms. Helen P. Makasait to the court. And finally, 4. Direct Ms. Helen Makasait to immediately refund the difference between the amount paid by the court to her and the reasonable compensation due her as determined by the office of the court. Respectfully submitted, the Office of the Chief Attorney, Maria Regina Adoracion Filomena M. Ignacio, Acting Chief Attorney, Tomas W. Reyes, Court Attorney 6, Jeter D.C. Halog, Court Attorney 6, Ardelisa R. De La Cruz, Court Attorney 6. So, I guess this will tell
I just missed it.
practically what really is the gist of this issue, and the only thing is that this is still pending before the court, the Supreme Court unbanked, and so but this already provides us a good basis. And what is important in the revelations of today's hearing is that these resource persons pointed to the Chief Justice as the source of all of these illegalities or these illegal transactions that were now being asked to be declared as void. So hopefully this will put an end to the many questions so that we can proceed on other matters, particularly to take advantage of the time of Justice Remedios Salazar Fernando, who has many other matters to testify on, particularly on this issue of the Amnesia 6, which is very close to the heart of one of our members here. May question ka ba dyan? Ha? Wala? Okay ka na dyan? Any question on this particular point? Sino ba yung nag-reserve kanina yung queries to I think you have a pending issue here. So perhaps we can now proceed with the point on the Amnesia 6 issue. Okay?
One question to Atty. Candelaria.
Meron ka pa? Hindi ka pa. You are still not convinced with the report? Sige, one question lang daw kay Atty. Candelaria.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Atty. Candelaria. Opo. Atty. Candelaria, do you fully, naglalaro lang po sa isip ko, do you fully understand all the projects you just mentioned a while ago? And konti lang po, kasi po para makapunta tayo sa ibang issue.
These are all technical procurements. And because I am a member of the Bids and Awards Committee for Goods and Services, I know I can understand something, but not fully the technical side of it.
Pwede niyo akong bigyan kahit konting explanation lang po.
Yung list of IT equipment, magli-list kami ng IT equipment for the Supreme Court and the lower courts. Hindi na kami magpo-procure nun. Iyon yun. Pilot project. Ito is a pilot project. Yung lawyer information system going Ongoing pa to. Yung database ng lawyers. The lawyer information system is the database of all lawyers in the Philippines, because this will be needed by the MCLE, Office of the Bar Confidant, the Office of the Court Administrator. Kasi may mga lawyers na naging judges, kaya kailangan din yun ng Office of the Court Administrator. Meron naman yung mga disbarred na pero nagpa-practice pa. Kaya we need that lawyer information system. Legal resource management system, a research. Judiciary email system, the email system of the lahat ng courts. The judiciary email system will be the email system for the entire judiciary. It includes the appellate and all other courts. The installation of the e-field justice system. This concerns the FieldJA. Anto e-courts ba to? E-library. E-lib. The hearing management system is for the stenographers. Digitization of court records so that our records will not be on paper.
Mr. Chairman, Ma'am, Attorney, on those projects, parang hindi po kailangan na yung 250,000 per month sa IT consultant natin. Palagay niyo po.
I would not know because this is technical and we do not know how much really is the consultancy, the reasonable consultancy fee.
So anyway, thank you, Mr. Chairman, so that we can go ahead.
Thank you. So we now go back to Congressman Kit. Nasaan na? Kit, for your continuation of interpellation of on another point, this now involves Associate Justice of the Court of Appeals, Remedios Salazar Fernando.
Justice, good afternoon po. With all due respect po, Your Honor. Na-intimidate talaga ako, Chair, pag babae. May sinabi po kayo kanina po, ma'am, na there were 2 times na nag-emergency meeting yung then presiding justice. Just to refresh all of us po, ano yung points taken up during the first time and then the second time?
June 21st, 2017 was our first emergency meeting with the former presiding justice of the CA, Justice Reyes. The first meeting was about his visit to the Supreme Court because he just came from the Supreme Court. He was called by the Chief Justice, and he was assured, according to him, he was assured by the Chief Justice that she will protect the Court of Appeals because there was a controversy then. And they will not abandon the court. Second, the presiding justice also informed us that the Chief Justice told him to inform the 3 justices involved to file the necessary petition for prohibition with the TRO with the Supreme Court at akong bahala.
At siyang bahala.
Yes,
This
Your
was
Honor. That was the first meeting, June 21. June 22, there was again another emergency meeting. The former presiding justice informed us that he again came from the Supreme Court. He talked with the Chief Justice, and according to him, he already signed a joint statement with the Chief Justice regarding the case, the amnesia or Ilocos 6
of the amnesia
case. Yes, Your Honor.
Para clear lang po tayo.
And we were also instructed to avoid making interviews or conducting interviews because we have a spokesperson in the Supreme Court in the person of Attorney Te.
Attorney Te.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am. Prior to this was the matter regarding the Amnesia 6 and the response of the entire CA. Was it taken up among yourselves?
No, Your Honor.
This was the first time was when the then presiding justice
Yes,
asked
Your Honor.
you po. Okay. And then after, I did hear of lunch was spoken.
Yes, Your Honor. On the third day.
On the third day.
June 3, after our mass in the morning, we had lunch together, and the Chief Justice visited us and joined us for lunch.
Okay. In any of these matters, did the Chief Justice speak directly to the three justices involved?
No, Your Honor. As a matter of fact, she gave an instruction not to include the three justices during our luncheon.
And was there in any of these circumstances, even as relayed to you by the then presiding justice, was it ever stated that the CA or the three justices should defy the positions of the House?
There was no statement coming from our former presiding justice regarding that matter, Your Honor.
There was nothing at all?
Nothing, Your Honor.
In fact, if I recall your earlier presentation, there was an agreement among the
He consulted us, Your Honor, on what to do if ever there is a show cause order or any subpoena that would be served to the three justices, and after discussion, we agreed that we will have to receive whatever the Congress would deliver to the Court of Appeals through our clerk of court, Your Honor.
And there was no instructions to change that position or argument.
There was
from
never
the
an
presiding
instruction.
justice or from the Chief Justice as well?
None, Your Honor.
Nothing. Nothing po. Okay, okay na po yun siguro for now. Thank you very much for that, ma'am. Maybe I will just ask further questions later. Thank you very much for that po, Justice.
Okay. Deputy Speaker Gwen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon again.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Honorable Justice.
Ano yung tatlo ngayong titirahin natin?
Meron po kayong new code of on judicial conduct
Ano ba isa? Tatapusin.
Yes, Your Honor.
by which all judges and justices adhere to?
Yes, ma'am.
And kasi this is a code on judicial conduct, would you say that you are to be judged in accordance with the stipulated provisions of such a code on judicial conduct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you expected to strictly adhere to this code?
We are expected to comply strictly with the Code of Judicial Conduct. As a matter of fact, if we violate, then we're subjected to administrative sanctions, Your Honor.
No exceptions po?
No exception, Your Honor.
For anybody?
None that I know, Your Honor.
So whether you be a judge, a justice of the Court of Appeals or of the Sandigan Bayan, or an associate justice of the Supreme Court, or for that matter, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, all of you are expected to strictly abide by the Code of Judicial Conduct.
Yes, Your Honor. And on record, we have two justices of the Court of Appeals who were, three who were disciplined.
Thank you, Honorable Justice. And so, if I may just quote here, this Code on Judicial Conduct states that judges shall not knowingly, while a proceeding is before or could come before them, make any comment that might reasonably be expected to affect the outcome of such proceeding or impair the manifest fairness of the process. There is no other way that you can interpret what this means.
prejudging a particular case.
Would you be allowed the latitude of publicly expressing concern on a particular matter that could possibly reach your court? Express publicly your concern.
We are very cautious not to give any opinion publicly or privately because we might be quoted, Your Honor.
So that, kasi may thin line dito that seems to be trod by the verified answer of the Chief Justice, stating that in that joint statement, she did not delve on the legal issues, but merely expressed concern on the issuance of the show cause order for the 3 justices of the Court of Appeals by the House Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability. But such concern was publicly expressed in a joint statement signed by both the Chief Justice and the then presiding Justice of the CA, Justice Reyes. Would that pass the strict demands of what is demanded of the Code on Judicial Conduct, stating that judges shall not knowingly, while a proceeding is before or could come before them, make any comment that might reasonably be expected to affect the outcome of such proceeding or impair the manifest fairness of the process.
As regards the joint statement signed by P.J. Reyes and the Chief Justice, Your Honor, it did not touch the merits of the case before the House and before the CA. They only expressed their concern and their advice. It's a normal thing to take the legal course of action.
And yet you earlier stated that in your June 21st meeting, which we shall get firsthand, hopefully from Justice Reyes, all of you justices were told to file the proper proceedings at ako na ang bahala.
No, Your Honor, he said that the advice was given to the 3 justices concerned to file the necessary petition with the Supreme Court at akong bahala.
At ako na ang bahala.
Akong bahala. Wala pong na.
Akong bahala.
Yes, I quoted that verbatim. Ako bahala.
Is that a fair comment, especially since judges shall not knowingly, while a proceeding is before or could come before them, make any comment that might reasonably be expected?
As far as I'm concerned, Your Honor, I would not dare say such statement.
You would not dare say akong bahala, because this would be,
it will be misconstrued as being impartial or siding with a particular party or prejudging a particular case.
And would this be in direct contravention of what is required under the Code of Judicial Conduct?
For me personally, yes, Your Honor.
Shall refrain.
Yes, Your Honor.
From making any comment.
Any comment, especially on the merit of a case.
So that, therefore, such a comment from the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, primus inter pares, the person whom all would regard as the #1 model, paragon of adherence to the Code of Judicial Conduct would, in this particular case, has shown in this particular comment na hindi sununod. Hindi nasunod. Hindi nag-abide ng Code of Judicial Conduct. That is my comment, Mr. Chair. I will not... Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dali lang.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, we now recognize Deputy Speaker Sharon Garin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ma'am, what is the if I were the Chief Justice, sabihin ko sabi lang naman niya yun sa mga yun why would we give weight to the words of Justice Reyes nung sinabi niya sa inyo? Diba? I mean, why would we believe that?
I was invited here to be resource person to relay what happened during our meeting because that was the only
I understand. My point is, why would the justices in the CA would actually believe what Reyes is saying? Anong perception niyo? What is the command or the weight of the words of Justice Reyes to the members to the Court of Appeals?
Ma'am, I cannot say how the other justices reacted to the statement of PJ Reyes, but being a presiding justice, I think we have to believe what he reported to us, but nobody reacted to that at the time.
There's no, we're not questioning, we cannot question the veracity of his statement kasi siya nga yung presiding justice And when a presiding justice says it to the members, may authority yan.
Yes, he's our presiding justice, Your Honor.
Hindi naman pwedeng sabihin chismis lang
It was not, yes, because it was an official meeting.
It was an official meeting.
Called by the presiding justice purposely to report on what happened during his meeting with the Chief Justice.
All right. So in the context of how it was said, when it was said, kasi official nga, and who said it, then we cannot really go far with how those who were listening interpret the statement of Reyes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We now recognize Congressman Bingbong Sereno.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. May I go back to the Honorable Justice Fernando? I was not able to finish my question when I first asked you. Let me recall a question, or rather the statement first, that as presiding justice, Justice Reyes, told you about a meeting with the Chief Justice that magfa-file lang yung tatlong justices at the exact words, akong bahala. Now, I compared that a while ago. For example, if there is, I have a case in the RTC, and I know that it will be appealable to the Court of Appeals. Would it be proper for a justice or a presiding justice to say na, sige, pagkatapos yan, akong bahala? Would that be proper?
It's an uncalled for statement coming from a justice, Your Honor.
Again, ma'am?
It's uncalled for a justice to be saying...
uncalled for.
Uncalled for.
It's uncalled for.
We should not say akong bahala. We have no business saying that.
But that would be would that be a violation of the code of conduct for justices?
If you ask me, Your Honor, it's already a violation of the code.
In your case, for example, if a Court of Appeals justice or a presiding justice would say to the RTC judge, sige, basta ko naman, pag mag-apila sila dito, akong bahala. Would that be a violation of the code of ethics or the requirements for a judge?
It is, Your Honor. We're not expected to assure a particular party that he will win in your sala. It's already prejudging a case.
So that could be a basis for a case against a justice
could be
or a presiding justice of the Court of Appeals.
It could be the subject of an administrative case, Your Honor.
An administrative case.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, perhaps, Mr. Chairman, in the same way that it could be the subject of, with what we heard, especially if the presiding justice at that time, Justice Reyes, will confirm that. That is one reason what that the Chief Justice could be impeached because of that. No? Let me go to, thank you very much, Madam Jai. Let me go to another topic. The Chief Security Division, Office of the Administrative Officer, Supreme Court.
May I just interject? Before
I think the guy is absent. May I know if this person, sino to, was served an invitation letter? Yung sa security, sino yan?
Yes, sir. Your Honor, excuse me please. I may be able to answer po.
Sige.
Mr. Chairman, can I interject lang po? Mr. Chairman,
sandali lang, tapusin ko lang to. No? There was an invitation of this committee to Mr. Jory Gayanan. And this appears to have been received on January 19 at 9:16 a.m. So, you want to say something about this?
Your Honor, Mr. Jory Gayanan is on a mission now. He is one of the head of the revisor team being sent to, they are now in retrieval team, Your Honor, of the protest of Bongbong Marcos versus Lenny po. So they are in Kamsur right now retrieving all the ballot boxes involved po in that protest.
And this mission will end when?
Probably February 3 or 4, Your Honor.
Ma'am, can you identify?
Do you have... si Attorney Conan. Is there any... Does he have... any assistant?
Your Honor, I'm actually the acting chief security po.
And then si Jory is what?
Is the deputy po, Your Honor.
Wala nang assistant?
He is the assistant, Your Honor. He is the assistant.
And no other person below the two of you?
There are still, Your Honor.
Kasi masyadong matagal kung Feb. Baka umabot tayo ng... Gusto niyo ba umabot tayo ng Abril?
Kaya naman yung sagutin. Baka naman kaya yung sagutin.
Baka naman kaya mo sagutin.
Being the chief security.
Pagkaya po, Your Honor.
Sige. So, sige, what is...
Mr. Chair, regarding, kasi may tanong siya kay Justice Fernando, pwede ko lang, para hindi malihis lang, can I ask this to Justice Fernando lang? If I may,
please,
Your Honor.
Thank you, Deputy Majority Leader Bing Bong. So, to Mike Cabalen, Miss Mike Cabalen, for Justice Fernando, you seem to remember the exact what transpired on June 21 and June 22, 2017. Pati po the exact dialogue. Obviously, you do not have amnesia. Ano po? So, how do you remember all this with precision? Can you just say to this body, Madam Justice? Opo. Thank you po.
It's public knowledge in the court, Your Honor, that I keep notes. Ever since, for 19
So
years, I have my notes.
Do you have the notes po?
I have my notes.
Okay
And
po.
when I receive a letter of invitation, I said, what is the topic? When the topic was mentioned in the letter, I reviewed my notes in 2017. And it turned out our meeting was on June 21, 22, and 23. But before that, I did not remember until I consulted my notes.
That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so please proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to address this, my question, with Attorney Cunanan.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ma'am, you are the acting Chief Security Division, Office of the Administrative Officer, Supreme Court.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, I'd like to ask you a question. How many security officers does the Chief Justice have?
security officers, Your Honor.
Yeah, going with them, mga bodyguards.
But I would not exactly know
Close
how
in.
many, but what I know are those security guards presently assigned to him organic po, yung organic sa amin.
Yeah, how many?
There are 2 coterminous security personnel, and then we have 4 casuals po from our division.
All securities.
Security.
Our acting as security, ma'am.
All acting as security.
All
Yes,
acting as
yes, Your
security.
Honor. Yes, Your Honor. Their position are casual watchman po. Watchman.
Watchman, yeah. So
And
they're all
security.
acting as security.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ma'am, how many drivers is assigned to the Chief Justice, ma'am?
Based on the plantilla, Your Honor, they have 1, Your Honor.
1?
Yes, Your Honor.
So how can one driver drive a car containing these 6 security, including the Chief Justice? Will you please review again if how many drivers are assigned or personnel acting as driver?
There is one, I think, Your Honor, 1 security personnel is acting as driver, Your Honor.
Okay, so how many cars are assigned to the
Chief Justice?
Yes.
There are 2 vehicles assigned to the Chief Justice, Your Honor.
I see, because Mr. Chairman, I learned that the Chief Justice was going around with 30 people. 30 people, yes, 32. Yes, with 32 people. So we would like to know if these people are 32 people. So we would like to know, this committee would like to know how many, what is the official bodyguards assigned to the Chief Justice, how many cars are assigned. So would we be able to get the names of those who are assigned, Madam?
As far as our office is concerned po, Your Honor, I can only give you yung
Yes.
those who are organic to our
Yes, ma'am. Could you
institution.
publish the names? Because we can learn from them. We will invite them and we can learn from them who are going with them.
Your Honor, may I just inform the Honorable Committee po that the Chief Justice has her own security personnel po. I mean,
Yeah, that's why if you could give us the names of those organic with the Supreme Court, and we will ask them, we will invite them to come here, then they can give us the real score kung sino yung mga sumasama from what sector of the government come from the MMD or perhaps the PNP. We will know from these people. So it is important, Madam, that if you could furnish this committee with names of those officially assigned to her so that we could invite them here.
Yes, Your Honor. I will supply it later,
So
Your Honor.
when may we have that name?
Can I give it next hearing, Your Honor?
Before next hearing, can you not just give us perhaps just
I
an
will-
email with the COMSEC?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. I will do
May
that.
we request the COMSEC to take note, to wait for the names of those security personnel officially assigned by the Supreme Court to the Chief Justice. So, and also, may I ask whoever is in charge of the expenses when the Chief Justice goes out? Sino ba kung pwedeng tanungin dyan? Is it?
Your Honor, what specific expenses would this be?
Yeah, for example, when she rides an airplane going to the foreign country, we would like to know, this committee would like to know, who pays, and if it is true, and who pays for those security men staying in the business class. How many travelers were there? Because I'm sure it's the money of the Supreme Court that's being spent. So, sino ba? Yeah. So, sino ang pwedeng magtanong dyan? Kasi may sinadmit na rin dito na expenses for foreign travels of the Office of the Chief Justice. Because here, it's only the name of the Chief Justice that appears. But we would like to know his staff. her staff and who were with her, including our security people who traveled? Sino ang in charge ng pera ninyo? Ma'am? Ano po? Yes, ma'am?
Your Honor, in our financial report on expenses for local travels, there are entries which only have OCJ staff or close in security because our documents or records on file do not show the individual names of the staff with her at that time. We based this only on our FMIS, our Financial Management Information System, because the supporting documents have already been transmitted to the Commission on Audit for post-audit.
In the year 2017, ma'am, how many times did the Chief Justice go abroad? 2017. Last year.
Sorry. For 2017, Your Honor, the Chief Justice went abroad only once. Once to London and Geneva. It's a continuous trip.
And in 2016, ma'am?
In 2016, twice, Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, and the United States of America.
In 2016 po, sinong kasama niya? Officially?
2016.
When she went to Ho Chi Minh.
For her trip in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, she was accompanied by Justice Saldi Trespeses, Attorney Maria Lourdes Oliveros, and Attorney Theodore Te.
Wala siyang security, ma'am?
Pardon niyo. Wala. Ay, wala po.
Wala. It was the Supreme Court who paid for all the expenses of this travel, including that of the Associate Justice of Santa Sandigan Bayan.
Yes, it's the Supreme Court po who paid for all the foreign travel.
For the foreign travel.
Yes.
And when you say the Supreme Court, it is the N-Bank. Yeah, the institution, it was approved and banked.
I mean, it was charged against the budget of the Supreme Court.
Yes, but it was approved and banked.
Yes, foreign travel is approved by the N-Bank for the justices.
So all these travels have been approved and banked?
Yes.
You are sure of that, ma'am?
Justices also.
Yung 3 justices of the Supreme Court.
Pag-justices?
Hindi. Pag-justices,
okay. For the Chief Justice and the Associate Justices, it's the N-Bank which approves the travel abroad. For lower rank officials, it's
the expenses.
3 chairpersons of the chairpersons of the 3 divisions.
The expenses.
Will approve.
Is it not approved and banked? The Supreme Court is supposed to be a collegial body. No one person there can...
If it's, Your Honor, if the approval of the authority says it's official business.
Yes, the authority to travel.
I'm talking kung ano yung mga kasama doon na expenses.
I'm talking about the expenses, ma'am.
Pardon po.
Who approves the expenses?
Kasi kasama yung sa authority, di ba? Yes. Your Honor, if the NBAC approves the travel abroad on official business, covered na po doon, kasama na po doon yung pagbayad sa expenses na covered on official, authorized under official business. For our guidelines po.
could you give this committee, ma'am, copies of the en banc resolutions approved by the Supreme Court Bank for the travels from 2015 to 2016 to 2017.
Okay, for all the travels of the Chief Justice lang po.
2016 and 2017. Could you furnish, ma'am?
Okay.
Would you furnish this committee copies of Rem Bank resolution?
Yes,
which includes the expenses, as you said.
Which include, as you said.
Could you furnish this, ma'am? Could you furnish us?
Meron, there was already submitted a report from 2012 to 2017.
The report, but I'm asking for the en banc resolutions. For the en banc resolutions approving said
may supporting documents.
Because there was no supporting documents, just a report. I would like this committee would like to see the en banc resolutions, because as we have emphasized, the Supreme Court is not the Chief Justice, and the Chief Justice is not the Supreme Court. So whatever her action should be approved en banc.
Siguro gawin mo ng 2012 para to be consistent with your report.
Hanggang to 2017,
yes.
Ma'am. Could you furnish us copies of those en banc resolution?
Yes, Your Honor. To 2012 to 2017 en banc resolutions approving the travels.
Of all the travels as stated here, ma'am. Yes, so
yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Okay.
My last question would be, I heard that we have a COA of the Supreme Court. Is he here? Nandito ba ho?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please, sino ba?
Miriam Ansama po.
Ma'am Ansama?
Mariam Yu Ansama.
Nasaan ho siya, ma'am?
Dito sa...
And yung isa pa is...
yung supervising auditor po namin si...
Yeah.
Fe Marie Dorado.
Dorado
po.
Dorado. Fe Marie Dorado.
Ma'am, in government offices, well, I think I know for a fact that there is a certain limit to the allowances of the IT of consultants. Like for example, in Quezon City, I think our limit there allowed by the COA is 25,000 per consultant. Am I right, ma'am?
We are sorry, sir. We cannot comment on this.
I think that is a policy.
The policy...
Because even in Caloocan, I just asked the mayor there, they are not allowed a consultant of more than 35,000 pesos.
A consultant para yung general, sir.
Yes.
Meron pong limit talaga.
So, paano...
Pero yung IT po, highly technical. And
but now, ma'am, how determines now the amount? Bakit 250,000? Bakit hindi 230,000? Bakit hindi 220,000? Who determines the amount?
Sila po.
Who?
Sino management
sila po?
And the contracting parties po ang may...
Management. So may I know who is the management here?
Sila po, sir, Supreme Court.
Sino ho dito ang could answer me?
Sila po kasi yung contracting parties.
Sino ho yun sila?
The Supreme Court and the...
Sino nga ho yun sa who in particular, ma'am? Hindi.
The back or... Paano yun? Kasi nga, yung contracts na ginawa nila, sir, is negotiated. So, ang determining factor doon, negotiate with the...
So, okay, ma'am. So, may I know from the Supreme Court who would be in charge of that?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. With respect to the consultancy being inquired into, Your Honors, the amounts, as we have already stated, were just presented coming from the procuring offices, Your Honors.
Saan ang pangalan niya? Wala dito ang pangalan niya.
Pangalan
niya dito.
Wala siya dito.
It's not you. It's
Your Honor, as I mentioned earlier,
it's
Raul Villanueva, Your Honor.
Mr. Olivero is the one approving.
That I don't know, Your Honor.
So who knows? Who knows who approves the amount? I'm sure.
Like I said, the amounts were before the BAC and the Procurement Planning Committee, Your Honor.
Who is the Procurement Planning Committee?
But the information also came from the procuring entities, Your Honor, that I was trying to mention. And the procuring entities with respect to the IT consultants that are being considered right now by the committee is actually the Management Information Systems Office and the Office of the Chief Justice, whose representatives today, unfortunately, Your Honor, are not here.
Sino?
The head... during the time of this particular procurement, Your Honor, it was the MISO was headed by the late Ed Davis, and Davis, he passed away more than a year ago, Your Honor, and from the Office of the Chief Justice, Attorney Mike Ocampo, Your Honor, might be in position.
Hindi ba sabi natin it passes the Bids and Awards Committee?
That's correct, Your Honor.
So is Attorney Bahia here?
With respect to the consultancies, I am the chairperson, Your Honor, of the Bids and Awards Committee on Consultancy Services.
So how do you determine whether it's 250 or 240 or 230 or 220? Why the amount 250?
Your Honor, like I said, these amounts...
That's the request.
Yes.
But do you automatically approve the request? Kung di ba, masyadong mataas yan, dapat 220 lang.
The work of the committee, Your Honor, is not with respect to the amount because so long as there is a certification of ability of funds, that's a time that we can act on them. Otherwise, if there is no certification of availability of funds, that we cannot act on them, Your Honor.
So if there's a certificate of availability of funds for 1 million, you will approve 1 million per month?
Your Honor,
if that is the request.
Well, Your Honor, if that is...
Kasi bids committee ka rin, di ba? Awards and bids.
Yes, and the work of the Bids and Awards Committee, Your Honor, is to conduct the bidding, if it is through competitive bidding or through negotiated procurement, if it's negotiated procurement, Your Honor.
So, kunyari, you said that it depends kung meron certification of the availability of funds. If the request is for 1 million for a certain IT consultant, and
yes,
there's a certification to that effect, you will approve it without being the awards and bids. You will approve it without questioning it?
We don't have to approve that, Your Honor, because it's only presented to us for purposes of bidding, Your Honor. We don't have to approve the amount.
That's a bidding, so you will approve it.
We do not, well, the amount, Your Honor,
yes,
we will not approve. But the conduct of the bidding is something that we will address, Your Honor.
Hindi ko makuha yata yun, Parang ano pa kayo? Kung hindi kayong nag-approve ng bid.
The law states, Your Honor, the mandate of and the rules actually state the mandate of the Bids and Awards Committee,
correct.
Your Honor.
But if, for example, let's go to a solid. For example, the price is too high. Wala kayong pakialam? Kayong Awards and Bids Committee.
Yes, with respect to the procurement, Your Honor, but not with respect to determining whether or not the fees that will be paid is reasonable or not, Your Honor.
So who determines whether it is reasonable or not?
Point of information, if I may answer your question, because umiikot.
Please,
Mr. Chair, under the alternative methods of procurement, which this particular transaction was subjected to, this is Rule 16, Section 48, on alternative methods, 48.1. In answer to the question, sino ang nagde-determine? Ito po, nakalagay. Subject to the prior approval of the head of the procuring entity and whenever justified
subject to the prior approval.
By the conditions provided in this act, the procuring entity may, in order to promote economy and efficiency, resort to any of the alternative methods of procurement provided in this rule. In all instances, the procuring entity shall ensure that the most advantageous price for the government is obtained.
So,
Therefore, the procuring entity in this case is the Office of the Chief Justice and the MISO. It was their obligation
not theirs.
to ensure that the most advantageous price for the government is obtained.
We confirm that, Your Honor.
The
So, in other
burden
words, you are
to prove that
confirming-
it is advantageous falls upon the Chief Justice.
So you're confirming now that it is because to us, to this committee, it's really outrageous. So you're confirming now that it is the Chief Justice who determined that it was 250,000, that it was worth it.
What I'm confirming, Your Honor, is that is the provision of the rules. And with respect to the Supreme Court, the head of the procuring entity is the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court.
Correct. So, in other words, it is the Chief Justice who determined that because he is the procuring entity, it was he who determined that it would be 250,000.
I would just like to state
not you. Hindi, not you.
not
Sabi
the
mo,
back,
hindi
Your
ikaw
Honor. Like I was saying, no, Your Honor, not the
So
back.
it is from what the deputy speaker read to us. It is the procuring entity. Am I correct? You agreed. You said you agreed.
Yes,
right?
I agree, Your Honor.
And who is the procuring entity here?
With respect to this IT consultancy,
Yes. Who is the procuring entity?
to Your Honor, the Office of the Chief
Okay,
Justice
that's
and
all.
the
Very
MISO. Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair. On another
Mr.
matter.
Chair. Mr. Chair.
It's okay.
On the same point, different.
I'm going to ask Justice Fernando, Mr. Chair. Just
what about
one
you?
question.
On the same point?
As well, also for Justice Fernando.
Okay. So we recognize Congressman Batuabe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Madam Justice, magandang hapon po. Kanina po,
sir.
sinabi po ninyo, si Justice Reyes, pagkatapos makipagpulong kay Chief Justice Sereno, ay nakipagpulong din po sa inyo. At iwasto po ninyo ako kung tama ang narinig ko. May sinabi po siya na mag-file na lang sila ng kasong prohibition o injunction?
Prohibition with TRO with the Supreme Court.
TRO with the Supreme Court. At ako na ang bahala.
Ako bahala.
At ako bahala. Ngayon, narinig po ninyo to. Ito po, ano po ba sa pagkarinig nyo ang gustong sabihin na ako bahala?
I really don't know what the Chief Justice meant when she said ako bahala. Through PJ Reyes.
So in other words,
perhaps it should be PJ Reyes who could answer the question because he was the one who was talking with the Chief Justice, Your Honor.
yes, ma'am, but you were the receiver of the message based on your understanding, on your own perception. What do you think did he mean by ako bahala?
Since I did not have any idea and up to now I don't have any idea of what the case was all about, I really don't know how the Chief Justice would decide on that particular petition, Your Honor. So I don't know will it be beneficial to the three justices, or I don't know because I don't have any idea of the cases filed before us and before the House, Your Honor.
Sa madaling salita po, ma'am, hindi po klaro sa inyo ang gustong sabihin ng ako bahala.
Yes, Your Honor, because that was the reason why I did not react when PJ Reyes told us about it.
Maraming salamat po. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Just to pick up from the question of, thank you, Mr. Chair, from the question of Congressman Batocabe, you did not know what it meant, ako bahala.
Yes, Your Honor, because
Justice Fernando. Nevertheless, it was a comment.
It was a comment according to PJ Reyes, Your Honor, given by the Chief Justice.
And judging this comment vis-a-vis the strict demands of the Code of Judicial Conduct, which specifically states that judges, including justices, I suppose, including the Chief Justice, I suppose, shall not knowingly, while a proceeding is before or could come before them, make any comment that might reasonably be expected to affect the outcome of such proceeding or impair the manifest fairness of the process. This was not following what the Code of Judicial Conduct demanded.
When I heard that statement, Your Honor, I really refrained from making any comment because I did not have any idea of what the cases filed before us and the House were all about.
However, the comment of the Chief Justice,
we just accepted the statement given by the presiding justice, and we did not react, Your Honor.
that is right. In fact, you did not react because it could come before. This is but I had earlier elicited from you the statement that we are all judged by the Code of Judicial Conduct, and any judge or justice should refrain from making any comment, including ako bahala.
Especially that kind of statement, Your Honor.
I heard, pagkatapos po ng pagtanong ko sa inyo, na itanong ng isang kasama ko, which elicited that answer from you, that you do keep notes. And I was impressed by your conscientiousness and thoroughness po. Sabi niyo po, it's a public knowledge that you keep notes of anything that transpires in meetings, in sa lahat po. Tama po ba?
Almost all meetings called by the presiding justice, Your Honor, for almost 2 decades, I kept notes of what we were talking about because under PJ Reyes, he does not have the habit of asking a stenographer to take down notes. So I make it a point to write notes so that I can remind them during the next meeting if there is an agreement about a particular policy or anything. They would ask me because they have the habit also of asking me what happened during that meeting. So I always refer to my notes.
So you always capture as accurately as possible what actually transpired, what was said, down to the exact words po.
I try to, Your Honor.
In fact, you had corrected me earlier when I thought that I had heard, sinabi ni Chief Justice, ako ang bahala. Sinabi niyo po, ako bahala.
Yes, Your Honor.
So
that was
really
what was said by Presiding Justice Reyes.
So you referred back to that June 21st meeting, at it was very specific. Sinabi ni Chief Justice, according to your testimony, mag-file yung 3 justices ng motion for prohibition. Ako bahala.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, kasi common knowledge po na you really keep notes. Kasi wala ngang stenographer si Presiding Justice Andy Reyes. So, did you show your notes to anybody, to Presiding Justice Reyes po?
No, Your Honor, but I reminded him in one of our conversations when we met that I was invited, and he said I was also invited. And then, could you please, remind me what happened? And I said, according to my notes, this was what happened. I reminded him.
You
already.
reminded him exactly of what the Chief Justice said. Ako bahala.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did then Presiding Justice Reyes dispute that reminder?
No, Your Honor, but he seemed to forget what he told us.
He seemed to have forgotten. When you reminded him, did he remember? Ano pong reaction niya nung sinabi niyo, this is what transpired? May sinabi ba niya, that is not how it went?
No, he did not contradict me.
He never contradicted you. Justice Reyes never contradicted you. That
no, Your Honor,
the
he
Chief
did not
Justice
contradict me.
Said, ako bahala.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, no further questions, Mr. Chair.
Aplikante ho ba kayo sa Supreme Court?
Your Honor.
Dapat mag-apply na kayo. Dahil alam nyo,
Hindi nga po ako pumasa ng
sa lahat po
presiding.
ng 6 na po ang tumistigo rito, 6 na justices tumistigo, ang wala akong narinig na nag-note si Chief Justice. Kanya siguro para magkaroon ng iba pang nag-note kasi kuminsan mahirap dahil may ginawa po si Attorney Anama, parang hindi po tumugma dun sa pagkakaintindi ng ibang justices. Kanya po nagkaroon ng mga AM resolutions in so many cases, Arcao, Maute, and many others. No? Kanya baka mas maganda mag-apply na kayo, Justice. Total, boboto naman ako, iboboto ko kayo.
Ako, Justice.
Binoto nyo nga ako sa JBC.
Salamat.
Follow up lang,
Okay,
Mr.
sige,
Chair,
go.
kay Justice Fernando. Ngayon, Madam Justice, kayo po matagal na ho sa Court of Appeal. Sabi niyo mga 2 dekada. Bago niyan, alam ko, naging Comelec Commissioner
19
kayo.
years. Opo.
19 years. So, ito po ba na ganito, na magbibigay ka ng suggestions sa isang, let's say for example, sa isang RTC judge? Eto, mag-file na lang kayo ng motion for, anong petition for prohibition with TRO at ako bahala. Kaya po niyong gawin?
No, Your Honor, I don't have the guts to do it.
Bakit po?
Your Honor, even if he or she is a friend, there will come a time that he or she will quote you, and that's not proper.
Ang sinasabi po ninyo para sa isang maestrado ay hindi po pwede na magsalita ka kung ano ang dapat gawin at magsalita ka rin ng ako bala. Tama po ba yon?
With more reason, the last statement, Your Honor.
With more reason. And with more reason kung ikaw po ay punong maestrado.
Yes, Your Honor.
Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
You're now recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. Last time you were here, Attorney Cunanan, Attorney Flores, and Attorney Bahia, we requested you to bring the disbursement vouchers, no, the set of documents for the payment of the Boracay Shangri-La of the Asian, because you told us before that when you paid the bill, it was directly sent to you by Shangri-La Boracay, and you said it was complete. So based on your checklist, no, it was complete, so you paid the bill directly to Shangri-La Boracay. Did you bring the documents? Because there was an admission on your part during that time that it did not pass through the Bids and Awards Committee. So therefore, if it did not pass to the Bids and Awards Committee, there would be some problem, because if this would be let's say, a negotiated procurement, then it has to pass the BAC, and then there would be a certification from BAC that indeed you would adopt the mode of negotiated procurement, right? Now, my question is, did you bring those documents right now as being subpoena? Did you bring po yung 1.9 million na bill ng Shangri-La Boracay?
Your Honor, if I remember right, during the last meeting, I stated that all the supporting documents have already been transmitted to the Commission on Audit. That's why.
But we even requested your resident auditor to... Did we subpoena the resident auditor? So incumbent, is it true that the records are with your office, Madam Auditor?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you seen those documents that I am referring to? The Boracay Shangri-La bill?
Yes, Your Honor. We have already prepared for the copy. Hindi pa nadala sa inyo kahapon.
You prepared, but did you submit? Asa na?
Because yesterday, sir, we have prepared and it was stamped for certified copy. We thought it was already released for them yesterday.
Anyway, paki-check ko kasi wala pa daw kami natatanggap per the COMSEC.
Well, anyway, Madam Auditor,
have you made any observations as far as the expenditure is concerned?
As far as the documents submitted, Your Honor, the Boracay expenses are not subject to bidding because it is a venue. Venue of convention, and based on RA 9184, Appendix 7.
Your Honor, if I may, based on Appendix 7, Item 7.2 of the RA 9184, in the list of venue, including hotel accommodations, public bidding actually is not required, but there should be at least 3 price quotations in the vicinity of the selected location.
Did they comply with that requirement?
So far, based on our review of the records of the documents, Your Honor, there were no other quotations from 2 more suppliers that were attached to the DBs.
So there is only one?
There is only one, Your
supplier. So
Yes.
as a conclusion, they did not comply with the provisions of law. May I hear your answer, Madam Auditor?
We will require management, Your Honor, to submit an explanation or justification for the non-submission of the quotations from 2 other suppliers. Then we will seek the opinion of the GPPB regarding the non-compliance with the Appendix 7 of the guidelines on the list of venue.
Yes. In your experience as an auditor, Madam, isn't it that before a chief accountant prepare a voucher or even pay a claim from her office or his office, they always have this checklist, right?
Yes, Your Honor. They should conduct pre-audit on the transaction.
And as far as this transaction is concerned, there is failure on the part of the Supreme Court to find other suppliers by quotation in the area. Yung initial findings nyo, Madam.
Yes, Your Honor. So we have to require them to submit an explanation or justification why they did not submit the 2 other quotations.
Thank you, Madam. May I hear some answers from our finance officers of the Supreme Court? If you could please give some explanations right now. Why are there no other quotations aside from Shangri-La Boracay?
Okay. Your Honor, okay. According to our, Your Honor, according to our finance division, they required then Attorney Trespaces, now Justice Trespaces, 4 canvas, but instead he submitted it to the NBank for action. And the Court NBank issued a resolution on April 22, 2014 approving the proposed budget for the ASEAN-CJ Forum po.
I don't have problem with the approval of the budget, Attorney Flores.
Opo.
What I'm trying to drive out is whether you observe the proper mode of getting that service. So, tama po ba yung procedure? I'm talking to you very slowly so that you could understand my questioning. Tama po ba na bayaran ninyo dahil kayo nasa finance na kulang po sa checklist yung documents na dapat naka-attach doon sa claim. Yun po ang sinasabi ko. Ang pagkukulang po, pagdating sa inyo, hindi nyo tinignan na kompleto yung documents. So, ang sabi ng COA, wala po kayong yung sinasabi na other quotations. Ibig sabihin po, iisa lang po yung nag-submit ng quotation. Yun po yun. So, ano ang naging, siguro masasabi kong pagkakamali ninyo, binayaran nyo na hindi po kumpleto yung dokumento na naka-attach sa claim.
Hindi, pero nire-require na yung The basis, Your Honor, of our Finance Division in processing payment was the authority granted by the court, not alone in other documents, but I don't know.
No problem with the authority. You can expend that. But what is being questioned here, the money, the way you spent it, yung pamamaraan po ng paggastos. Ito na lang po ang tanong ko. Sino po namili nung venue na Boracay Shangri-La? Si Chief Justice po ba?
We have no part in it, Your Honor. Sa pagdating po sa amin nito kasi for payment na lang po eh.
Sino po nag-utos sa inyo na bayaran yung Boracay Shangri-La? Si Chief Justice po ba? Saan po galing yung request for voucher preparation? Kay Chief Justice po ba?
Your Honor, according to our Finance Division, it was Attorney Saldi Trespeses now, Justice Trespeses, who forwarded the claim to our Office for Payment.
Saan opisina po noon si Attorney Trespeses, si Justice ngayon ng Sandigan Bayan? Saan po siya?
He was formerly with the Office of the Chief Justice before he was appointed to the Sandigan Bayan.
So sa opisina ni Chief Justice, galing ang instructions na bayaran yung Shangri-La Boracay as far as yung 1.9 expenses. Clear tayo doon, Madam?
So,
are we clear on that?
The basis is the resolution of the court.
Yes, the basis is the resolution. Of course, you cannot pay that without the authority from the court to pay it, but the instructions came from the Office of the Chief Justice to pay the Shangri-La Boracay, the Shangri-La Hotel in Boracay for the 1.9 million. In spite, ma'am, nakulang po yung documents na naka-attach. Wala po yung additional 2 quotations from different venues or suppliers pursuant po dun sa exception na sinasabi sa Republic Act 9184 o yung Procurement Act. Di ba po? Siguro point of information to, no? I do understand to, kawa kasi laging Bids and Awards Committee. Yung Bids and Awards Committee, recommendatory lang yan. They only recommend, but they have to follow the 9184. Ang approval niyan, doon pa rin sa, sa head of the procurement entity. So, kung meron talaga magkakasala dyan talaga, pag once na talaga binayaran yan at na-approve yung purchase, yung head po ng procurement entity. At pagdating po sa inyo sa Supreme Court, si Chief Justice po ang head ng procurement entity. That will be your, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Follow-up question lang sa COA. Did you not see any red flag in this that would have prompted you to issue an, ano ba yan, yung ini-issue nyo? pag merong mga red flags? Ha?
Kasi prior years accounts pa to, sir. So, yung 20... AOM.
Walang AOM ito.
Wala silang AOM noon, pero ngayon mag-AOM kami.
So ngayon may nakita kayong mali dito.
Kasi kami na ngayon, sir.
Okay.
Kasi nga, baka mamaya sabihin nyo, walang ginawa yung previous auditors.
Ganun na nga.
So ngayon, gagawin
wala
na
pa
namin
naman
kasi,
talaga kayong ginagawa. Kanya ngayon pa lang sinasabi na namin.
Kasi ang focus ko namin, sir, is the collection of the Supreme Court.
Pero siyempre,
pero
as
ngayon po,
auditors.
Dahil na nakita na ninyo, tapos... Pero actually, sir, meron din naman exceptions sa COA Circular 2012.
Anyway, first question, meron ba kayong... so wala pa kayong audit observation memo?
To be.
Wala
issued pa lang,
forthcoming.
Yes, sir.
Ngayon, balikan ko naman ng Supreme Court. Wala ba kayong report dito kung paano ng anong, 'di ba? Tulad nung kanina, merong report yung Office of the Court Attorney or Chief Attorney. Dito naman, yung Financial Service o wala ba kayong report dito? Kasi clearly, yung sinasabi ni Congressman De Vera, walang compliance to doon sa RA 9184 dahil at least yung canvas, yung abstract of ano ba yan? Or yung quotation wala, pero binayaran nyo. So hindi pa nire-raise ang issue nito sa Supreme Court en banc in an administrative matter. Wala pang ganon. Wala. Anybody who can answer that from Supreme Court, especially yung nasa admin and or finance service, fiscal management, Attorney Flores, wala bang ganon?
Your Honor, our finance division sent a note to the Office of the Chief Justice on May 18, 2015, requesting that the following documents be attached: contract with the hotel, and then 3 canvases or
And let me just cut you. And as you said, instead of responding to you, pinadala sa unbank yung budget na in-approve ng budget. In-abbreviate ko na para mabilis tayo, no? Ngayon, ang sinasabi ko, hiningan nyo, in-approve ng unbank, pero meron pa rin tayong subject, yung approval na yan is always subject to accounting rules and regulations, di ba? So, nung bumaba sa inyo yon, you should comply with the rules, auditing rules and regulations. And therefore, bago nyo bayaran ng Shangri-La, dapat ni-require nyo yung presentation ng documents. At dahil wala nga, dapat this should have prompted probably an inquiry and or a report that there was something wrong in this transaction. Kasi balikan ko yung sagot ni Chief Justice 142 on page 60 of her answer, no? Instead of booking additional rooms, the Chief Justice, her staff, and part of the Secretariat were allowed to stay at the presidential villa with no additional charges. Totoo po ba ito? Based on yung inyong procedure. Wala ba talagang bayad dito? O ito'y katang-isip ng ating Chief Justice?
Maybe the Commissioner Audit could answer the question, Your Honor, because nasa kanila yung documents, kakatanggap lang namin yung copies.
Sige, COA, totoo po ba na walang bayad yung presidential villa? Kasi merong, if I can recall it correctly, 250,000 pesos per night itong villa na to. Ewan ko kung bakit mahilig ang Supreme Court sa 250,000. Ha? Parang fixated kayo sa 250. Pati kay Helen Makasay, 250 rin. What is in the amount of 250,000 that you are, Supreme Court is so fixated on this amount? Anyway, merong testimony na 250,000 daw yung presidential suite. Pero sinasabi dito, libre daw ito. No additional charges. Totoo po ba ito?
Based on the documents submitted, sir, the statement of accounts of the Boracay Resort Spa, wala naman po yung 250,000. And the payment, it was contracted for 3 days.
Okay.
So the total amount for 3 days is 2,097.
Para i-clarify po natin ito, let an invitation be issued to Boracay, Shangri-La. Para bumilis po tayo, magpapaligoy-ligoy tayo dito Parang hindi ka panipiniwala yung 250,000 worth of presidential suite, ililibre ito.
Wala sir na 250,000. Ang binayaran po nila is 34,600 per yung bila per room ay per day pala. 34,000 sir times 3. So yun siguro yung
1.9 billion po yung pinagbayaran
Pero marami po sir.
Oh, sorry. 1.9 million, 1,966,258.64 million ang binayaran.
Net of tax, yung sinasabi niyo sir.
Can you give us a breakdown of the payment of 1.9 million corresponding to the rooms and so on and so forth? And in this regard, dahil mukhang kulang-kulang ang dokumento, let a subpoena duces tecum be issued on Shangri-La, Boracay, to produce any and all papers and documents pertaining to this particular event where the Supreme Court used the facilities of Shangri-La, Boracay.
Yes, Your Honor, may I just state the date? From March 1 to March 3 of 2015, the third ASEAN Chief Justices meeting, Your Honor.
Let that be noted by the COMSEC for the proper description of the subpoena duces tecum. Concit.
Sasuggest ko sana mag-ocular inspection na lang tayo, Chair. Pero kompleto. Sama na tayo.
Baka bigyan din tayo ng free 250,000 presidential suite. Ganun ba?
Baka sakali.
Baka sakali.
Baka sakali.
Joke lang yan. Of course. Uso ngayon ang mga jokes
So, if the chair please.
Presidential villa pala, hindi presidential suite. Presidential villa. Ayun, no? And ito na nga ang sagot. Parang sinasabi niya, naka-save pa siya, naka-save pa tayo, no? Ng magkano?
30,000 per month.
Ang regular rate pala ng presidential villa is mali, 250. Nakalagay dito in her answer, regular rate of 280,000 pesos. Para mas malinaw. So, nanggaling po ito sa answer niya. And this is an admission that the rate of that villa is 280. Pero, she claims na nakatipid pa dahil pinagamit na libre. So, I don't know which is which. Unfortunately, again, she would not want to come forward to clarify this issue. So, we are forced to invite Shangri-La Boracay and even issue subpoena duces tecum just to prove this particular point. How difficult it is para talagang mag-impeach, ano? Pero anyway, darating din tayo dyan.
Mr. Chair.
I hope this is not again falsifying or this would not be tantamount to falsification. and or misrepresentation. Kasi in the previous instances of Arcao, Maute, there were allegations, and these were substantiated by the testimonies of the members of the Supreme Court who appeared before us, that there was falsification, misrepresentation. Congresswoman,
the hope of the chair that this is not another case of misrepresentation. In fact, I share the same hope as I try to understand number 142 of page 60 in the words of the Chief Justice herself, because she claims that there was no booking of additional rooms. Ito po, if I may just read, instead of booking additional rooms, the Chief Justice, her staff, and part of the Secretariat were allowed to stay at the presidential villa with no additional charges. No fee.
Your Honor, I stand corrected. Kasi dito sa answer niya in 142, last sentence, it is noteworthy that the resort charged 134,192.25 for the use of the presidential villa. Hindi pala ito at no cost.
I stand corrected. It's 142. The opening statement contradicts that last statement which the chairman has read, because she disputes that there were no additional charges for the presidential villa. And yet, in the same paragraph 142, the Chief Justice states, by using the presidential villa, we actually save public funds because instead of charging, because the resort only charged 134,192.25. So alin ba talaga? Walang additional charges for the presidential villa, or in fact there were charges for the
which is not reflected in the COA findings. So again, COA, bubusina po kami sa inyo. Kung wala man sa inyo, inadmit na po ito nung Chief Justice mismo na may binayaran silang 134,192.25 instead of the regular rate of 280,000. So kayong nasa Supreme Court na mga magagaling sa numero, nasa finance and administration, na hindi nyo tinitingnan yung mga dokumento dahil pikit mata kayong aaprubahin nyo dahil nanggaling ito sa NBank, even if these are not in accordance with auditing and accounting rules and regulations, please open your eyes. Kasi naguguluhan ho kami, sagot na ho ito, tapos kung ano-ano ho yung sinasabi nyo, in probably your desire na pagtakpan, pero ang isda na yan nahuhuli sa bibig.
Sariling bibig.
Sariling bibig.
If I may add, Mr. Chair, in number 140, the Chief Justice claims that the resort offered the presidential villa. Ibig sabihin, we would conclude na this was offered for free kasi inoffer eh. And yet, as part of a room block for the event, so that other than the presidential villa, which was booked for 24 hours, meron pang 59 guest room block. So in other words, kasama pala yung presidential villa sa room block na binayaran. And again, admitted to by the Chief Justice, even if she is saying na walang additional charges, paano? Wala nga, kasi kasama na yon ng room block na binabayaran, and that part of that room block was the charges of, according to her, 134,192.25 for the presidential villa. Aside from the deluxe sea view rooms, the meron pang 23 deluxe rooms, and all of these other rooms as part of the 59 room block.
And may I advise the counsels of the Chief Justice, do your jobs well. Ang dami nyo sinasabi sa media, yung pala dito huli na kayo sa sarili nyong sagot. Kayo nag-draft nito siguro. So, please do your jobs well. Huwag kayong salita ng salita that dishonors this committee. Are we done on this point? Hindi naman. Marami pa, no? We have, sige, on the same point or... Kasi meron pa tayo yung security personnel and travels, no? We need all of this information now that things are getting clearer to all of us. And please, Supreme Court officers, please help us. Because I think it is not helping you at all.